guys, I hope everyone's doing good. I don't really feel like coming up today. I'm not really feeling myself today, so I'm just gonna be behind my little Yoda picture here. But today we're actually gonna look at a few things. Let me know if you can hear me okay. I hope you can. So we're gonna look at a playlist that I made. It looks like Crown Empress is gonna take the day off from social media, not from social media, but from YouTube, and I completely support that. So I decided that I think now would be a good time to show you guys a few things. I made a playlist that has news stories to it, and there's also a verdict back about a case that I've heard about since I want to say last year. So we're going to look at the story of how that came about, and then we'll get into the verdict. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and start showing you some of these clips that I found for us to watch. And let me just fix this a little bit. Hey, Observing Stuff, how you doing? I know I just talked to you a little while ago, but I just feel like asking how you're doing. Hope you're good. Alright, so this first clip, okay, awesome. Thank you, Danielle. Let's see, the first one we're going to look at is called New Species of Venomous Spider Found at Zoo in Florida. And that's going to be courtesy of Fox 4 Now. Let's go ahead and take a look.
Well, if you're not a fan of spiders, there's one you're going to have to watch out for. And maybe you're just into the science. Biologists have discovered this new spider species. It's called the pine rockland trapdoor spider. It was found in the beautiful Everglades, and it's only ever been spotted a few times since the 1920s. Scientists at Piedmont College say the species is related to tarantulas because it was found in a fragment of some woods that's partly in Miami. The spider is definitely in danger of becoming extinct at this point.
Okay, sorry, I was messing with the volume. I don't know how it is that my main volume went all the way down like that. But that's interesting, and that kind of reminds me of earlier, you heard about this spider? Me and Black and Bougie had a conversation, and we were talking about a little bit about how animals are going extinct. And she mentioned that sometimes what happens when an animal goes extinct is a new one pops up. So I'm kind of wondering if that's kind of what's happening here. Mother Nature's just kind of trying to, do her checks and balances and whatnot. But I mean, I'm not a fan of spiders either. They creep me out, but if there's a new species, I want to know about it because that's my curious nature at play. So let's go ahead and continue on, and this clip is called Woman in Colorado Treated for Rare Blood Clots Related to Johnson & Johnson COVID Vaccine. And I have gotten into the habit of showing, news clips that have to do with the COVID vaccine and kind of the drawbacks that happen. I don't trust it myself, so I'm probably not ever going to show a video that's going to promote it in a good way. I think it's weird that they have on the news and then in commercials, even sometimes you're trying to watch a show regular and then they do a split screen of somebody getting injected, and all that is just crazy to me. I feel like they're trying to brainwash us into accepting something that might not be good for us. Hi Lisa, thank you so much for joining us. So let's go ahead and take a look at this clip, and it's going to be courtesy of CBS Denver.
Lint classic recipe.
And that's going to be after this short clip, this short ad. 1 second, please.
To use the J&J vaccine once again. It had paused administration after 17 people did report blood clots. The blood clot cannot be treated with typical blood thinners because it actually makes it worse. But UC Health came up with a way to effectively treat patients.
We begin with the...
Sorry about that. I was messing with my my headphones. New problem. Let's go ahead and try to watch that again. My bad, you guys.
Health is starting to use the J&J vaccine once again. It had paused administration after 17 people did report blood clots. The blood clot cannot be treated with
Hey, Knowledge in General, thank you so much for being here. I don't know if anyone's gonna want to jump on the panel, but I would really appreciate it if you gave me some insights on what you think is going on with the whole echoing thing. I have my headphones on. I'm using the microphone that comes with my webcam. It's like a duo type of thing. So I would appreciate it if you let me know what you think is going on with that situation. But thank you so much for being here, Knowledge in General. I really do appreciate it.
Typical blood thinners because it actually makes it worse. But UC Health came up with a way to effectively treat patients. CBS 4's Jacqueline Quinn is live outside UC Health. Force 9, Jacqueline, one patient got this revolutionary treatment.
And yeah, it's the first known case of treatment after the CDC issued that guidance. It just so happens on that day that they did that, a Denver woman experiencing this clot issue walked in through their doors.
So it was a headache that was mostly on the left side of my brain, which now makes sense because that's where the clot is.
6 days after Morgan Wolf received the J&J vaccine on April 1st, she knew something was off.
I really suddenly started to feel chills, body aches, headache.
With a headache that was intensifying, she went to urgent care. Staff treated it as tonsillitis and a sinus infection. She went home, then Tuesday came.
When I got my phone to put it in my pocket, my Apple News update, the top story was that Johnson & Johnson was being paused.
Once at UC Health in Aurora, Wolf underwent a CT scan.
And those revealed small clots in my right lung, as well as a couple different places in my head.
Thank you very much, Knowledge in General. I really hope you stay and you enjoy the live. I have a playlist of news clips that I gathered from today, and we're also going to take a look at a case that I heard about from last year about two young men who stabbed a police officer in Rome. They had a verdict come in today, and I wanted to show a documentary that I found to put us all into up to date into the situation so we all know what's going on, and then we'll get into the verdict after. So I should be here for a couple of hours. Thank you very much.
We were able to determine that she had the triggers in her bloodstream that would suggest it comes from the vaccine.
Hey Stacy, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Hard to be definitive, especially when something is new.
Dr. Todd Clark knew the CDC warned against using the standard blood clot medicine, but no alternative was recommended.
And we made the call to go with bivalirudin based off the best available evidence.
Now this case has been published to help treat other potential patients.
But I actually think that people knowing about this is a huge success story for the CDC finding this potential side effect early.
Again, we just mentioned it, 17 cases and millions of doses, and that's why the doctor says that's what your chances are for getting a blood clot, 1 in a million. In Aurora, I'm Jack.
1 in a million chances that you're going to end up with a blood clot due to the vaccine. 1 in a million chances that dormant herpes might be caused by getting the vaccine. And another 1 in a million chances that the vaccine isn't going to work at all. So that's what I have so far. It's pretty crazy. Just people are lining up and just getting the jab, as they say, and we don't even know what it's going to do to the people long term. 5 years from now, 10 years from now. How do we know that it's not going to awaken some dormant gene that we don't know that we have that could turn us into monsters or something like that? It's literally like an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer or something like that. I'm scared. I don't know about everybody else, but I don't think I'll be taking that vaccine. But I will continue to find stories about these 1 in a million chances of something bad happening. Alright, hey Crowned Empress, thank you so much for being here. Let's go ahead and take a look. No, Lisa, I'm so happy you haven't gotten the shot. I mean, I don't want to say one way or the other that you should get it or you shouldn't get it. Of course, do your research. I'm gonna definitely be posting news clips of vaccine gone wrong stories. I'm not meaning to fear bait anybody or anything like that, but come on, we need to know. They're putting these stories out there so that they could cover their own asses when it comes to things going wrong in general. All right, let's see. So Lisa says no thank you to the shot. I have not got a shot. Stacy says, I have no intentions on taking the vaccine either. No, ma'am. And Knowledge in General says, in fact, you are getting the jab, but here in India, population is 135 crore. Is that a word or was that a mistype? I hope I said that right, if that was the correct spelling for that. Let's go ahead and continue going through our playlist, mine and yours. The next one is called Digging Deeper. Inmate vaccinations continue inside Arizona prisons. And this is going to be courtesy of News 4 Tucson, KVOA. Let's take a look.
We begin with the coronavirus. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Amanda Gomez.
And I'm John Overall. Vaccinations are now being given to those serving time inside Arizona's prisons.
News 4 Tucson's Lupita Murillo has been digging deeper into the latest numbers from the state on just how many inmates have received their shots.
Since the start of the pandemic, a total of 43 Arizona inmates have died of COVID-19, and there have been more than 12,000 reported positive cases. Now that the vaccines are being administered to inmates, there's hope those numbers will start to decrease. As of this week, there have been more than 2,200 confirmed COVID-19 cases among inmates at the Arizona State Prison on South Wilmot Road. Vaccinations for more than 4,600 inmates inside Wilmot and other state prisons began rolling out back in mid-March, nearly 2 months ago.
They have started vaccinating in the infirmary, and I believe there's another high-risk unit that they're looking that they've vaccinated in. They'll be starting with those that are 55 and above, and then once they get those done, they'll move to the next age group as well.
According to the Department of Corrections, Rehabilitation, and Reentry, as of last week, more than 22,000 vaccines have been administered at 10 state prisons. An additional 5,000 plus have gone to inmates in private prisons.
Has anybody heard yet if these vaccinations are voluntary or are they just giving them out to anybody they can?
Several times over the past year, groups including Puente Human Rights Movement have held rallies in front of the Wilmot Prison, demanding the state do more to protect the health and safety of their family members who are inmates.
We just want our people to be treated as humans. We need to rehabilitate our people as opposed to just casting them aside and punishing them for, the worst moments of their lives.
It's not just inmates. ADCRR says there have also been more than 2,700 staff who self-reported positive for COVID-19. The department says nearly all have since recovered. According to the latest numbers, more than 1/3 of state inmates have tested positive for COVID-19. ADCRR says they will continue to offer the vaccines as they are allocated by the department in the weeks ahead.
Okay, Knowledge in General says, looking at the story, I really feel our administration is way behind your country. Here, government is unable to provide oxygen for dying citizens. That's really sad to report and to hear. I think I've seen a couple of news stories from India. I should definitely branch out when it comes to the stories that I cover. I usually keep it like nationwide news, unless like today I'm gonna report on an incident that happened in Rome, but it had to do with Americans. So I'll definitely keep in mind to branch out with my research and include other countries, because that's important. I want my channel to be inclusive, and I want to cover everywhere that has news stories, happening there. Let's look at, Lisa says, some businesses are trying to reel people in with a free beer or a donut if you get your shot. Yes, Lisa, today I saw, I want to say it was a commercial, and it said something like, if you get the jab, you'll get a $5 discount at Target. Something like that. I was like, really? My life is not worth a $5 waiver at Target or whatever it was. Let's see, Knowledge in General says, in India here, media is sold out. Yeah, I want to say it's just really tough to get the real stories a lot of the times. I mean, I personally have not been affected by COVID, neither anybody that I know in real life, but I do know like secondhand stories where it's like someone that I knows someone that was affected. So for me, I feel like I'm getting away with, not being affected by COVID in real life. So that's why I won't be taking the vaccine. I also don't trust the government to give us, anything that they, have tested and know that for sure is going to help. I mean, it's pretty wild. We've been dealing with AIDS for decades. We've been dealing with cancer, all kinds of health issues, and there's no solution. But COVID popped up, and Bill Gates was ready with the solution, and that's just crazy to me. So I have trust issues on anything that the media is gonna put out there, or the government, and it comes from the government. But yeah, that's truly unfortunate. I really don't feel like we're getting 100% of the story told to us. So I'm going to have trust issues. Let's go ahead and continue looking at my playlist here. And this next clip that we're going to watch is called Life Plus 1,200 Years Recommended. Jury convicts Virginia Beach man of shooting detective. And that's going to be courtesy of 13 News Now.
Life plus more than 1,200 years in prison. That's the recommended sentence for Brian Cage, the man who shot a Virginia Beach police officer as police arrested him for child pornography charges. That shooting happened in 2000.
Damn, Crowned. I should have put this in your playlist, but it didn't say that in the title. I didn't read it, but that's crazy. So he got into a shootout with the cops because he had inappropriate child photos. Hey, Punisher J Gaming, how you doing? And he got into a shootout with the detectives. I don't think he killed anyone. Actually, this is a shooting detective, but oh my God, that's crazy. Let's keep watching.
Shot a Virginia Beach police officer as police arrested him for child pornography charges. That shooting happened in 2017. An hours-long standoff followed, and this week a jury convicted Brian Cage of attempted capital murder, 99 counts of child porn, possession, and more. The jury suggested life plus 1,248 years behind bars. A judge will formally sentence Cage in August.
Wow.
Topping our newscast.
Wow, that's crazy. I'm gonna go ahead and try to get I'm just gonna leave that clip there so I can look more into it and probably tell the story to Crown if she's not here listening, because that's crazy. I know she's gonna want to know about that one. Alright, so let's continue looking at my playlist here. The next story is driver suspected in deadly 2020 Stockdale Highway hit and run pleads not guilty. And that's going to be courtesy of KGET News.
Topping our newscast at 5, it was a hit-and-run crash that left a Bakersfield grandmother dead and a community looking for answers.
Now nearly a year since Debbie Juneau was killed in that crash, the driver accused of causing it and fleeing the scene has been arrested. Today she made her first court appearance.
17's Eitan Wallace was in the courtroom today and joins us now in studio with that, plus the message from Juneau's family. Eitan?
Jim and Moses, Juneau family members say they are grateful an arrest was made, but they add nothing will ever bring back their matriarch. Shielding her face in a Kern County Superior courtroom this afternoon, Stephanie Henninger pleaded not guilty to several charges against her, including vehicular manslaughter with gross negligence and hit and run. The 42-year-old Henninger is accused of causing this crash last July on Stockdale Highway just north of Cal State Bakersfield and then fleeing the scene. Deborah Ann Juneau, or Debbie as she was called, was killed in that crash. Her daughter Dawn speaking with us about how it impacted her family.
My family will never be the same. My mom was my best friend. I miss her.
Dawn said she made a promise to her 13-year-old son back in July that the driver who fled would be captured. But 9 months later, Dawn was starting to give up. Then, last Friday, BPD announced they arrested Henninger in Bakersfield and seized her vehicle in Riverside County.
I really would like to give a huge thank you to all of the Bakersfield Police Department in all of their efforts in finding this woman. That really means so much to myself and my entire family.
Debbie's husband, Rick, and their 2 granddaughters echoed a similar sentiment in front of the courthouse today.
Another step for some closure. We won't go the rest of our lives wondering who this was, so that's helping everybody out quite a bit, so it's a good day.
Bakersfield law firm Chain Cohen Styles is representing the Janot family.
There really is never any closure in a case like this. Nothing's going to bring Deborah back. But at least the family is able now to move forward, if you will.
I'm so happy that she's been caught. I really wish that she would have turned herself in and done the right thing. That would have made me feel better.
It would make me feel better if they also added to that the fact that she evaded. A lot of the times in these cases, they don't try to add everything they possibly can, and considering this, she killed a person with like her vehicle. Another thing that I've noticed is people get maybe like 4 or 5 years, and you know they're getting out even quicker than that, but get caught with a bunch of drugs or stealing money, and that's where they really nail you with it.
That would have made me feel better. I hope that whatever they decide to charge her with, her formal charges, I would hope that she has to serve every single day of whatever they give her.
Henniger faces spousal abuse misdemeanor charges in an unrelated case. Her bail.
She's also facing spousal abuse, so she's just an abusive person in real life, just in general. She's just going around abusing and taking advantage of people as much as she can. Let's hear that again.
Henniger faces spousal abuse misdemeanor charges in an unrelated case. Her bail in this case is set at $100,000. She is next due in court on June 2nd. If convicted, she could face up to 11 years in prison.
Did you hear that? 11 years. That's crazy. I'm telling you, the system here is trash. All right, let's continue on. Now, this next clip is an update on the George Floyd Derek Chauvin case. It's called Derek Chauvin's attorney files motion asking for new trial. That's going to be courtesy of Fox 4 Now.
Breaking at this hour, former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin has filed a motion seeking a new trial in the death of George Floyd. He says his constitutional right to a fair trial was violated throughout the proceedings. We'll continue bringing you more coverage as we learn more.
Okay, before we continue on to the next clip, so from what I understand, one of the jurors, he's of course the one that decides to come out and speak out and get all the attention. So this is kind of making me wonder if that was his intention in the first place, is just to come out and be a celebrity out of this, because apparently he went to a rally wearing a shirt that said like "Get off my neck" or something like that, and it was a pro Black Lives Matter function that was happening, a rally or something like that. So that became an issue. I want to say also the comments that Maxine Waters said became an issue. What else? There was one other thing. I think I grabbed a clip about it. Actually, it's the one that's next. So it's called Chauvin's Lawyer Seeks New Trial, Hearing to Impeach Verdict. And that's going to be courtesy of Fox 59 News.
Some breaking news this hour. We have just learned the attorney for Derek Chauvin has filed a motion for a new trial. The ex-Minneapolis police officer was convicted of murdering George Floyd during an arrest last May. Chauvin's attorney, Eric Nelson, claims the trial was unfair in his view because the judge did not sequester the jury to protect.
He was like, "That is so unfair. I got a not fair trial. I want to try again."
Protect them from media coverage. Nelson also says the judge should have granted a change of venue. Now, at this time, this is just a motion that's been filed. We'll certainly let you know what happens moving forward.
Okay, it must have been a different clip, but as soon as I find out exactly what's going on with that, I'll let you know. I don't think I included any of the clips of the juror. Actually, there's one more Derek Chauvin thing here. I just saw him. I might as well show it since we're on that topic. Where did he go? Hang on, guys. Okay, here it is. Alright, so I want to say that this one's going to have the most information because it's over 2 minutes long. It's called Chauvin Jury Misconduct. That's what it is. And it's going to be courtesy of WTAJ TV.
The attorneys for Derek Chauvin has filed a motion for a new trial after his conviction for the murder of George Floyd. This comes amid a separate controversy over a photo of one of the jurors, Brandon Mitchell, wearing a t-shirt that says, "Get your knee off our necks." Jeff Peggs reports.
Hi, Nicolette Moore. Thank you so much for being here. She says, I don't think a change of venue would have helped. I don't think so either. That it was world news, as a matter of fact. Who didn't hear about it? You know what I mean? But they're bringing up all this other stuff. But I want to say that this is the clip that I was talking about. They gave a little bit more information, so let's take a look.
On what this could mean for the case.
Derek Chauvin wants a new trial. His attorney, Eric Nelson, cited various factors in a motion filed Tuesday, among them jury misconduct, but it doesn't specifically mention Juror 52, Brandon Mitchell. This week, controversy began surrounding this photo of Mitchell at a rally last August for the 57th anniversary of the March on Washington. In it, he's seen wearing a Black Lives Matter hat and a shirt bearing the title of the rally, "Get Your Knee Off Our Necks," to bring awareness to police brutality.
Either way, I was going to D.C. for this event, even if George Floyd was still alive.
Mitchell told our CBS station WCCO the death of George Floyd had nothing to do with his reasons for attending the March on Washington, which was announced after Floyd's death.
And that march was focused on voter registration and things like that during an election year.
Nelson is asking the judge for a Schwartz hearing, a procedure where jurors are recalled and questioned about potential misconduct. If granted, Mitchell's answers could result in a mistrial.
Whether it's misconduct, that's another level, but there clearly was a failure to disclose.
Minnesota criminal defense attorney Joe Tamburino, who is not affiliated with the case, said Nelson could argue that Mitchell withheld information during jury selection.
They're going to say, look, we didn't have this information, because if we had it, we might have removed Mr. Mitchell.
But then he's going to probably say, but you didn't ask. I mean, do you think that they asked everybody, hey, have you been to any rallies about this or anything like that? He probably wasn't asked, and he just decided just to keep it to himself. The way he's coming out, taking interviews, he's kind of inserting himself in a situation. I'm not too sure if any other jurors have come out for interviews or anything like that, but I'm kind of feeling like his intentions of joining the jury was for popularity, if you want to put it that way. But I really hope that it doesn't end up in like a mistrial or whatever it is. Yeah, whatever they're trying to go for. And if they end up redoing trial, I mean, I want to say that they're just gonna do the same thing all over again. So I probably won't cover it if they redo it. But if they do, but whenever verdict is being read, then I'll probably cover that. But not if they're gonna go to trial again. Nicolette says, don't they do a questionnaire? Yeah, they were answering all kinds of questions. But, I mean, they never said all the questions. I'm not too sure what they were focused on. You would think that they would ask them something like that. It says, aren't these questions asked before you serve? Yeah, they should be. I remember seeing the question part. You couldn't see the jury, but I remember like hearing them speak when they were being asked questions and stuff like that. It's pretty crazy. All right, let's finish watching this clip real quick.
During jury questioning back in March, Mitchell told the court that he viewed the Black Lives Matter movement favorably.
People of black, pigment, their lives matter. It's just a statement.
Mitchell told the Star Tribune Monday.
He said people of black pigment. That's a new one for me. I never heard of it. I know I usually say melanated because I don't like to assume like the heritage of somebody. You never know. Just because somebody's a certain skin color doesn't mean that they still can't be American or Mexican even or Canadian or you know what I mean. It's just assumptions that I don't feel are appropriate to make, so I just leave it out. But if I were to have to describe somebody, I personally would say melanated. And if someone doesn't know what that means, then I would explain it to them just kindly and patiently.
That in a pre-selection questionnaire, he responded no to the following questions. Did you or someone close to you participate in any of the demonstrations or marches against police brutality that took place in Minneapolis after George Floyd's death? And other than what you have already described above, have you or anyone close to you participated in protests about police use of force?
Nicola, it was asked. That's what it says here. Other than what you have already described above, have you or anyone close to you participated in protests about police use of force or police brutality? Does that mean he said no? That's crazy.
Or police brutality.
Yeah, that's gonna be an issue. If they asked him straight up and he said like no, he lied, and that's gonna be that might be a problem. It might be enough to get this guy another trial, and then I'm gonna want. Uh-oh. I think I'm buffering, unless that's just me on my phone. Give me 1 second so I can take a look again. Am I back? It looks like I'm okay. It might have just been me, although I did see a bunch of people drop out. I think I had like 7 and then it went down to 3. Let me know if I'm buffering, okay you guys? Let's go ahead and continue on. Let me erase this clip. Let me know if I'm buffering, if you guys are doing okay. I'm gonna play this next clip. It's called What's the History Behind Cinco de Mayo? And that's gonna be courtesy of CBS 8 San Diego.
Tomorrow's Cinco de Mayo. It's considered a Mexican celebration, but is it really? Many have no idea what the party is all about, with some even thinking it's Mexico's Independence Day. We asked our Sean Stiles to help clear things up for people and the reason for this celebration.
May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, is a big celebration, especially here in Old Town. But when you're partying, do you really know what Cinco de Mayo is all about? Well, we talked to an expert, so you'll know as well.
It's the Great Battle of Puebla, where the small Mexican army defeated the mighty French army.
Francisco Bustos is a professor at Southwestern College. He explains why Cinco de Mayo and the Battle of Puebla is so important in Mexican history and why they celebrate with reenactments.
Puebla is remembered very much because it was the small Mexican army versus the gigantic, powerful French Empire army.
In 1862, forces sent by Napoleon III encountered the Mexican army in Puebla and attacked on May 5th.
Even though they were coming in from all sides with a lot more muscle and a lot more weapons, it just wasn't the French's army day, and they had to cut their losses.
The battle was an inspiration for the people of Mexico.
That was huge, very huge, something to be proud of, something to celebrate.
The battle at Puebla was not a turning point in the war with the French, but it did show they could be defeated.
In fact, it took years for Mexico to actually end up liberating itself from the French army.
Although Cinco de Mayo is more of a party here in the U.S., it's also celebrated in Mexico with parades and reenactments.
Kind of depends where you go in Mexico, right? But, you know, if you go to Puebla, Tlaxcala, you know, in that region, there'll be more of a celebration.
And when it comes to Independence Day, that was declared back in 1810 on September 16th. We'll send it back to you in the studio.
Yeah, a little history there for us. Hey, stop that. But that looked like fun. I would love to go to an authentic Cinco de Mayo celebration in Mexico. That looked like they were having a killer time. Let's see. I don't know if there are any South Park fans out there, but there was one episode where they did a reenactment, I think like the Confederacy, and they were getting drunk on schnapps, like reenacting like all this, trying to like win the battle, and they didn't even care about history. They were literally like treating it like it was real. It's South Park, so what do you expect, right? That was a really cool episode. That just reminded me of that. Alright, let me see if I have any other interesting clips about Cinco de Mayo. Okay, no, that was something else. Alright, let's see. Let's go ahead and continue on. Now, this is a story that I covered a little bit the other day about a cult, and they found a dead body in a house or something like that. I found a clip for an update. It's called "Former Cult Member Reacts to Discovery of Leader's Mummified Remains in Colorado Home," and that's going to be courtesy of CBS Denver. Let's take a look.
Thanks for joining us at 6 o'clock. I'm Jim Bunneman.
And I'm Karen Lee. The leader of a cult was found dead and mummified in a sleeping bag, wrapped with Christmas lights in southern Colorado.
Amy Leah Carlson was the leader of a cult called Love Has Won. Carlson called herself Mother God and proclaimed to have been reincarnated countless times.
CBS 4's Rick Sounder is on our top story tonight. And Rick, now multiple cult members are under arrest.
Well, yes, they are, Karen. They were all in a home near Crestone. Foul play is not suspected in their leader's death. She was said to be a heavy drinker and also a drug user. You may have seen her on the Dr. Phil show.
My own light workers, battle me!
Whoa! She just said, "My own light workers, battle me!" This lady was a trip. Let's keep watching. I hope Dr. Phil doesn't have an issue. I'm not playing Dr. Phil, but the news decided to use Dr. Phil.
Her name, Amy Carlson. She also went by Leah, but best known as Mother God, leader of the group Love Has Won. Now, she is dead.
Shocking, really. I wasn't surprised at her passing because I had heard that she was not in very good health and it was getting worse.
Andrew Profaci is a former member of Love Has Won. He spoke with our Dominic Garcia. This photo, obtained by reporter B. Schofield, shows sheriff's deputies raided a home outside Crestone last week. They found a body described as mummified. Reports say it had glitter and Christmas lights on.
When I joined the team, I thought I'd be just a guy in the background, and she had other ideas. She told me I was...
That's creepy, but actually a different clip that I saw said that she had glitter on her lips, like glitter lipstick, and that they put string lights, like Christmas lights, like over. She was in a sleeping bag, and then they wrapped her in blankets, so essentially she was mummified. And then I think they wrapped that with Christmas lights. And I want to say that they said that they would even turn them on for her while her body lay there decomposing, if you can imagine that.
I was going to be, the father god to her mother god.
Carlson appeared on the Dr. Phil show last year. She was asked about leaving her children for Love Has Won.
I didn't want to leave, and they told me I had to go on mission. If I didn't do it, then no one else would.
Carlson was described by many as a heavy drinker. The people who were in her home where the body was found have been arrested.
I don't know what you guys think, but this guy and, okay, let's see, the third guy from the left and the first and the second guy on the bottom row, starting from the left, they kind of look alike. I'm kind of wondering if there was some inbreeding going on around here. Maybe not, I'm just saying. I'm just speculating.
On charges of child abuse and abuse of a corpse. 2 children were present. Profaci.
And there were children. There were children in the house with a decomposing body. That's disturbing.
Says since he left Love Has Won, it has changed.
I would characterize it as a cult now.
Those facing charges that will appear in court in Saguache County by a video link tomorrow, and we'll be down there to see what happens.
Interesting. That story's wild. I want to know more about that cult. I mean, it doesn't seem to be very organized, like a kind of like Jonestown. Actually, I was looking into Jonestown today too for some reason. I'm not too sure how it happened, but I was looking for something that I could maybe like watch with you all. But then I was like, I don't know if this is gonna be appropriate, because not that I would have to, but I would want to include everything, which unfortunately that also includes the audio of the Kool-Aid moment, if you know what I'm talking about. So I was kind of like on the fence if I should share that or not. Most people know about Jonestown anyway, so I just kind of put it on the back burner for now. But yeah, that's crazy. And there's another case too. I'll try to remember to show it to you guys, but I want to say it was in Florida. There was a woman that was also like a cult leader too, and she was abusing children. And I want to say that she, I think, killed one of them or something like that. And she was just, I think she already went through court. I'm not too sure, but I'll find out because I don't want to give misinformation. But as soon as I get some news clips, I'll definitely share it with you all, because that's weird to me. It's kind of one of those weird things that you can't look away from, even though it's crazy. Alright, let's go ahead and continue with this playlist here. Now the next video is called San Francisco Firefighters Rescue Owl Tangled in String. And this is going to be courtesy of NBC Bay Area. Let's watch. And that's going to be after this ad.
Okay, now to something good. San Francisco firefighters spent this morning rescuing an owl from a tree. Happened near the Crocker Amazon Park just before 9 o'clock in the morning. Neighbors kept hearing hoot, hoot, which they said translated to
Aww, I hope that's not the, like, wing up here. I don't know if that's tree or if that's a wing, like, stretched up there. Yeah, Nicolette Moore, too. That's true. The smell. And who even knows how long she had been in there. That's all stuff that I hope we find out, because that's a crazy story. But let's see what happens with this owl real quick.
help, help me. They ran outside. They found an owl.
It is its wing. Oh, that's so sad. Hey, Raphael Flatplane, thank you so much for being here. But the owl's right here, his face, and then his body's down here, and this wing is like stretched up to the top. Oh, that looks so scary.
Owl wrapped in a string attached to a branch. Poor little thing. Firefighters rushed to the park. They were able to...
So what was the string attached to the tree for? You see how, like, people are just messing things up? Maybe it was like a piñata that, you know, it was intended for that. But if people are going to be doing that, they really got to put the extra effort into going back up there and cutting the stuff that you know, we're doing to nature and to the planet we live on. You know what I mean? I realize that could have happened anyways, because like branches and stuff can get tricky, but it wasn't a branch, it was a string. We know that was like put there by a human.
To rescue the owl. There it is. You can
look how gorgeous. He looks cranky to me.
See how cute it is. Firefighters named it Shamrock and made it the station's mascot. Shamrock, by the way, is at the Peninsula Humane Society to be treated, for a possible dislocated shoulder. Victory Church and all.
Oh, that's sad. The owl had a dislocated shoulder. See, we were talking about the woman that was arrested by the police and they dislocated her shoulder. That's what that reminds me of. Laugh out loud, owls always look mad. They know too much. That's why they're supposed to be real smart, right? Let me change my banner real quick. And there's another owl story I have. Oh, look, I have another Derek Chauvin story. I should have showed that earlier, but I'll probably get into that next. But let me see if I have it. I know one of my clips turned into a private video, and I was like, why is the news privating videos? And now it's like racking my brain what that video was and why was it privated. I may never know. Alright, so let's move on to this next clip. It's also about an owl. It says, Great Horned Owl Travels 300 Miles Trapped in a Truck's Grill. And this is going to be courtesy of 23 ABC News. Alright, so there's going to be like crazy music and words, I guess. So I'll just go ahead and lower the volume and just read what the captions say. So it says, a great horned owl had a wild ride after getting trapped in the grill of a truck. You can see him there, his eyes. The owl was flying in northern Florida when it was hit by a truck. The animal spent the 10-hour trip inside the vehicle. When the driver got to his destination, I'm kind of wondering if he knew. I mean, that's pretty wild that he drove with the owl for, what did it say, 10 hours? 10 hours, and he didn't do anything until he got comfortably to where he needed to be. Alright, so it says when the driver got to his destination, he called the Conservancy of Southwest Florida. The Conservancy rescued the owl and treated its injuries. Miraculously, the bird did not have any broken bones. Gorgeous. Look, he's being set free. After a quick recovery and living at the conservancy for a few weeks, it was time to return to the wild. Since the owl's original home was unknown, it was released in a safe location with a lot of wild space. Well, there we go. I'm glad there was a happy ending for that owl. Let's see, let's go ahead and go back up here so we could just stay on order. I'm going to go ahead and show this clip about the Derek Chauvin juror. I might as well. I should have done that earlier, but I missed it. It's called Derek Chauvin Juror Speaks Out on T-Shirt Controversy, and that's going to be courtesy of ABC News.
Google Career Certificates provide online.
And that's going to be after this ad. 1 second.
For you.
It's almost done. Just got a couple seconds up.
Mentioned off the top tonight, late today, involving Derek Chauvin after that guilty verdict. Lawyers for the former Minneapolis police officer tonight are now asking for a new trial. Late today, filing a motion on several grounds, including what they claim is jury misconduct. It comes as a photo is surfaced showing one of the jurors wearing a Black Lives Matter t-shirt and cap and attending a march in Washington during which members of George Floyd's family spoke. Here's ABC's Alex Perez tonight, of course, following the case from the start for us.
Tonight, Brandon Mitchell, one of 12 jurors who convicted former cop Derek Chauvin of killing George Floyd, is defending his impartiality as a juror after this picture of him last August resurfaced online at the March on Washington.
And I also find it pretty suspect that only now, I guess maybe since he's come out and done interviews and stuff like that, people have been able to identify him and then expose, or what, if you want to put it that way, his prior pictures. Because I was kind of thinking, like, how weird, you know, that now that there's a verdict, all of a sudden there's a wrench in the plan, like most of us probably thought was going to happen. I don't know about what everyone else feels, but a part of me kind of feels like maybe all this was set up so that Derek Chauvin can, you know, be let free. But I don't know. That's just a theory. I'm just speculating.
And commemorating Dr. Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech, an event where George Floyd's family members were among the speakers. Mitchell wearing a shirt with a picture of Dr. King and the words, "Get your knee off our necks," and BLM. After the guilty verdict, Mitchell telling our Robin Roberts that video of Chauvin's knee on Floyd's neck was key.
And then seeing the multiple angles of it from the body cam.
Hey, TMK Media, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
From the other cell phones, it was probably the most important piece of evidence.
Mitchell, during jury selection, answered no when asked if he participated in demonstrations about police use of force. Mitchell told the Minneapolis Star-Tribune his attendance in D.C. was 100% not a march for George Floyd and directly related to MLK's march in the 60s. Tonight, Chauvin's defense attorney, Eric Nelson, filing this motion for a new...
I don't think that reasoning is going to fly. I think people are going to see it as a reason to not have a mistrial in that case, but to retry it.
New trial, citing a number of reasons, including jury misconduct.
Certainly gives him some ammunition in terms of him asking the court to conduct a hearing to determine whether or not this juror should have been on the jury or not.
And David, that defense motion for a new trial is expected in high-profile cases like this one. The prosecution has already responded, saying they will vigorously oppose that motion. As for the juror, Brandon Mitchell, he says the decision to convict was based solely on the evidence. David?
All right, Alex Perez again tonight. Thank you, Alex.
Again, I don't think they're going to care what he has to say after this. He already lied in a way. He's using semantics when it comes to, like, oh, that march or that protest wasn't about George Floyd, it was about Martin Luther King. But I mean, they're never going to be able to prove what was going on in his mind, but that's really all it's going to take for them to retry the case. But we'll see what happens. Okay, so this next clip that I'm going to show is called Albany Church Offering $10K Reward for Info on High School Seniors Homicide. And that's going to be courtesy of WNYT News Channel 13. Let's take a look.
Victory Church in Albany is offering a $10,000 reward for information leading to an arrest in the murder of China Forney.
The 18-year-old high school senior was gunned down yesterday afternoon on Essex Street. Jonathan Hunter is live in Albany with our follow-up report. Jonathan?
Yes, good evening, Mark and Benita. This is a very sad situation indeed. China Forney, she was 18 years old. She had her whole life ahead of her. She had plans to graduate from Albany Leadership Charter School for Girls and wanted to go on to study nursing. The school sent us a statement. They say they watched her grow from a bright-eyed, fun-loving freshman to a young woman with focus and determination. They say she was a talented athlete who was a leader on the indoor and outdoor track team. They say they will always remember her infectious smile and personality. I spoke to Steve Smith, a spokesperson for the Albany Police Department. He says when it comes to homicide investigations, people in the community are reluctant to give out any information. He says the community and police have to work together to solve this case.
This is real life that we're dealing with. This is not a TV reality show. We need the community to work with us. We need them to provide information when it comes to.
I think the community knows that this is real life and not a reality show. You know, I'm sure people have their reasons for not wanting to cooperate with the police, but if somebody knows something, I really hope they say, because this young lady deserves justice, and her family needs to know why what happened to her. And it's just getting really annoying when some people are like, oh, don't snitch and fuck cops, you know, when it comes to helping out with a case. People really got to put that aside and think about the victim and the surviving family and their friends too, because everyone's feeling this, not just the family.
To these types of incidents, it goes a long way, and we need to make sure that we're holding individuals accountable.
And Smith says that the investigation is still ongoing, and you can submit an anonymous tip by going to Capital Region Crime Stoppers. Reporting live in Albany, I'm Jonathan Hunter for News Channel 13.
Thank you very much, sir, for that news report. Let's go ahead and continue on. Now remember, we are looking at the playlist that I made of the news stories from today. Yesterday and today actually, and then we're gonna move on to the other situation that I was talking about earlier with the two young men that killed an officer in Rome. So let's go ahead and continue on. This video, is called Missing Pieces, Finding Out What Happened to Ebenezer Sewornu, and that's gonna be courtesy of KHOU 11.
Dark Horse Wine gets the first pick of grapes.
And KHOU 11 covers Houston.
3.
A young man came to Houston to make a new life for himself, but he never had a chance to pursue those dreams. He was murdered, and his killer still hasn't been caught. Tonight, Grace White's shining a light on this cold case.
2 years ago, Ebenezer Sewornu was killed outside a Houston nightclub. Detectives are still working the case, but haven't been able to crack it, and his family desperately wants justice.
But we want to know who killed him and why did it.
Okay, that was real. This is a real mom in pain over the death of her son. I can tell just listening to her, looking at her for just 1 second, you can tell this really hurt her. It was really sad to see.
They killed him in cold blood.
Tonight at 10, we take a deep dive into the case, but we want to share this with you now. There is surveillance video outside the Vienna Lounge from February 2019. It was taken just before the murder. It shows two cars police really want you to pay attention to. A 2016 to 2018 gray Toyota Tundra and a 2018 white Mercedes-Benz SUV. The Harris County Sheriff's Office believes if they can find out more about the people in these cars, they could solve the case. If you have any information, call Crime Stoppers. We'll see you tonight at 10. And for the first time, you'll get to hear from the victim's family halfway across the world in Africa.
Oh, wow. His family's not even here with him, or some of his family. That's so sad to see. I really hope I have a positive update to this case soon. I know it's too late for him, but there's still an opportunity to get justice for this crime. And it's really sad to see that people can really do these things, awful, horrible things, and just walk away from them like if nothing happened. Let's go ahead and continue looking at these clips. This next one is called Caught on Video Inside Juarez Smuggling Operation Moving Migrants Across the Border to El Paso, and that's going to be courtesy of KVIA ABC 7.
Back to ABC 7 at 5, I'm Eric Elkin. Extraordinary footage from Ciudad Juarez. CNN correspondent Matt Rivers and his team met with and followed so-called polleros, or human smugglers, and captured the moment when they smuggled 2 migrants into the U.S. It is video rarely seen from this perspective, from the migrants' point of view. Human smuggling is, of course, a crime, but our partners at CNN wanted to document this process because it is part of the reality of what is happening at the border every single day.
Facts.
ABC 7's Brianna Chavez joins us live and shares the captivating footage from the border. Brianna.
Yeah, Eric, what can be lost in all the numbers is exactly how many migrants are actually arriving here in El Paso into the U.S. Now, it can be a terribly dangerous journey that hundreds of thousands of people are still willing to take part in, desperate to get into the U.S. Now, I want to show you this video. Take a look at your screen right now. Our partners at CNN were able to follow a group of polleros. Now, this group here is helping a young man and woman get over the bridge using a makeshift ladder. Now, as you can see, it's a slow process as they walk on their hands and knees through the desert. The 2 migrants are 18 and 20 years old, originally from Ecuador. They say they paid various smugglers thousands of dollars each to bring them to the bridge. They say they're hoping to eventually find work here in South Texas. Now, this smuggler who works with the La Línea cartel in Juarez tells CNN correspondent Matt Rivers that each migrant they cross pays the cartel roughly $2,000.
Nosotros tratamos también de ayudarlos. Sí, hay gente que viene y pide la ayuda.
We try to help them. People come and ask for help. Kids, women, men, we support them, he says. Now, the smuggler also says that the cartel gives them a small cut for performing what they call a service. Now, coming up on ABC 7 at 6, we'll hear from a 14-year-old smuggler and how he helps get kids across the border wall, and we'll also show you the moment that those 2 migrants from Ecuador cross into El Paso. Eric?
And they don't always just, provide a quote-unquote safe passage. Sometimes people get left behind. Sometimes people get raped, murdered. I remember I saw a documentary about probably 10 years ago, maybe more than that, and they were documenting like a woman and what her travel was going to be like to try to get to America. And she said, along with other women, they said that they started taking the pill, or they would get like the shot so that they can't get pregnant, because they were counting on being raped. They knew already it was going to happen, and they were preparing for it. The stories that people carry with them to come over here is just really sad and devastating. And border politics aside, these are humans. Some of them really are trying to escape countries where they're being persecuted for their beliefs, or for just things that Americans do every day, and the kinds of rights that we take advantage of all the time. And I'm not anyone to judge anybody or say that so-and-so doesn't belong here, or start sending people quote-unquote back to their countries and all that. I really would prefer if America was the American dream, but you know what, sometimes people get here too, and then it's just not all that it's cracked up to be. I love America. I'm really glad that I'm here, but we all know we have issues, and we require reform on a lot of things. Let's go ahead and continue on. So this weekend there's going to be a meteor shower for those of you that are enthusiasts of the celestial sights. This next clip is called Weather Minds Meteor Shower This Week, and that's going to be courtesy of KARE 11.
A pretty decent meteor shower peaks the next couple of nights. It's the Eta Aquarids. This time of year, Earth crosses the orbital path of Halley's Comet, and the dust left over from this comet falls to Earth in the form of meteors. While the peak of this shower is tonight and tomorrow night, you'll actually be able to see these meteors pretty much through most of May. It's an above-average shower, producing about 10 to 20 meteors at its peak. The best time to see these is during the pre-dawn hours late at night. That's when the radiant point, or the point where it appears these meteors are coming from, is highest in the sky. Look towards the constellation Aquarius, which is in the southern sky.
If you don't know like where the constellations are and stuff like that, there's apps where you could you know, how do I say it? You can point like your phone up if you're holding it like with both hands, and it shows you where the constellations are at, and you just kind of scan through the sky and try to see and stuff like that. I used to love looking out for meteors and stuff when I used to live out in the country, because there's a lot of lights in the city obviously. Or if we go to like South Padre Island, where it's just way out there and it's real dark, you could really see some amazing things. I would always see like falling stars and stuff like that. I really enjoy things like that. So I wanted to go ahead and show you all and let you know that there's a meteor shower happening this weekend if you all are into checking that out. Alright, so this next clip is going to be about the cult that we were talking about earlier. Again, let me try to see if... Oh my god! YouTube is letting us move around the clips again. Look! I'm moving it. Last time I couldn't do that. Alright, well hopefully they keep that, because it was helping me with my stories and putting them in order, so hopefully now I'll be able to do that. So let's take a look at this next clip. It's called Decomposed Remains of Cult Leader Found in Colorado Home, and it's going to be courtesy of 9 News. Whoa, hold on. Was that watermelon vodka? I don't know, I might try it. I really like watermelon. That looks really good. They put real watermelon in there. I'm down.
9 Months to Know is learning more today about the woman's body found fully decorated in Christmas lights in a home in southern Colorado. The Saguache Sheriff's Department says the cause of death has not been determined, but it does not appear that foul play was involved. 7 people have been arrested and charged with abuse of a corpse. They were all in the home when the partially decomposed body was found by sheriff's deputies.
You know what, something I haven't heard yet is, how did they find out there was a dead body in the house? Like, were they there for something else and then they came upon that? That's something I want to know.
The body has not yet been positively identified, but the person who first reported it to law enforcement said that body was that of...
Hell yeah, Crowned Empress, that looked good, right? It had real watermelon pieces. I don't know what else was in it. If I find the recipe, I'll text it to you or whatever. Maybe I'll show it here somehow, because that looked really good.
Amy Carlson, leader of a cult called Love Has Won. According to the arrest warrant, 5 of the people who were arrested drove Carlson's body from California to Colorado.
I'm really not.
Did they say that they traveled with her like that dead? I need to hear that again. Hang on. I was thinking about watermelon vodka.
According to the arrest warrant, 5 of the people who were arrested drove Carlson's body from California to Colorado.
They did. They drove her body from California to Colorado. These people are weird. They're crazy. If I find out anything else about them, I'll be posting that.
I'm really not sure what to think about this whole thing. I've never seen a group of people be so nonchalant about a dead person in their back room.
'Cause they're weirdos. They probably were like, oh, she's ascending now. We need to keep her body here and mummify it so we could worship her every day. Like, I don't know anything about this cult. I'm just speculating, but that's some creepy shit right there.
A 13-year-old girl and a 2-year-old boy were asleep in the home when sheriff's deputies found the body. They were both said to be in good condition. The 7 people arrested were also charged with child abuse for having the children in a house with a dead body.
That's fine. Go ahead. Throw the whole sink at them, like Emmanuel Britt says. Is he here? I don't think I've seen him here today. He's usually here. Alright, so let's go ahead and continue on with these crazy stories. This next one is called School Custodian Accused of Hiding Bathroom Cameras Has Been on the Run for well over a year. Sicko. Now this is going to be courtesy of CBS Chicago. That is nasty.
Resume Now is America's top resume build.
Be quiet. Sorry guys, this is an ad. 1 second.
Now in this hour 18, he's been on the run for well over a year. A school custodian accused of secretly recording students and teachers in the bathrooms at a north suburban middle school. You may remember.
Ew, he was recording students. He was recording children in the bathroom. I hope they find him. He's been on the run, so I don't think they found him yet.
Remember this story? We uncovered a troubling criminal background and a pattern of inappropriate behavior. CBS News' Chair Molina, always investigating, has an update on the manhunt.
No one has seen David Garcia Espinal since January of 2020 when all of this happened. There's still a felony warrant out for his arrest, and Northfield police tell me they continue to work to get justice for his victims. We found they're not the only ones. David Garcia Espinal, off the radar for well over a year now, but the fight for his victims continues, just in court last Friday.
We believe he's not in the United States.
The criminal case against him is at a standstill, but the civil case continues. Kevin Golden represents some of the teachers David Garcia Espinal recorded in the Sunset Ridge School bathrooms.
Are people getting kicked out? Because I'm noticing that my video is lagging, and then it went from like 3 people down to 1. So I hope I'm not having any issues. Just let me know, because I can't tell right now.
Gut-wrenching.
Where he was accused of hiding a cell phone in a garbage can for months.
The invasion is, words cannot describe it.
Those anonymous teachers are seeking damages against the 2 companies that hired Garcia Espinal as a contracted maintenance worker and cook in the school. The lawsuit claims both companies failed to check his criminal background and history of inappropriate conduct. A background check would have prevented his hiring. Their attorneys didn't respond to our requests for a comment.
Mr. Garcia had a history. If it was appropriately looked into per statute in Illinois, he would not have been allowed into that school.
A school and a district that's made big changes since. District 29 Superintendent denied my interview request, but detailed changes they've made in the past year in an email, telling me they require all private vendor staff, not directly employed by the district, and district employees to have criminal, fingerprint-based background checks regularly, with checks against sex offender and violent offender registries, and direct supervision required for vendor staff during school hours. Supervision he didn't have.
They're looking at making sure that the system is in place so this can't occur to future people.
A spokesperson for the...
Yeah, a system should have already been in place so this wouldn't have happened, but too late for that, I guess.
Northfield Police Department told me they continue to work with the Cook County State's Attorney's Office and federal agencies on this case. The Cook County State's Attorney's Office didn't answer our direct questions today, but did send us a statement. They say they're still working on bringing him back into their jurisdiction to face charges. Reporting.
Sometimes I wonder if people were just born yesterday. I mean, people can't be that dumb. You would think that by now we would have at least half our problems figured out, and it's just no solution. As they act like there's no solution when all they need to do is communicate with each other, be more thorough when it comes to background checks. I mean, if we're talking about a school, you can't trust anybody. That man did not need supervision. He needed to be in prison. Definitely not around kids. That's insane. Alright, let's go ahead and continue on. This is crazy. When I saw this clip, I had like Waiting to Exhale vibes, if you know what I mean. Just wait, you'll see what I'm talking about if you've seen the movie. It's called Maryland Woman Sets Fire to Home, Then Sits Back in Lawn Chair, and that's going to be courtesy of Fox 5 Washington DC. And then also pay attention to the side of the house, because somebody's going to run out like from the basement while the house is on fire. This is really crazy. Watch after this ad. 1 second please.
Oh my God. I actually can't believe this.
And there she is. She's sitting right here on her lawn chair, and the inside of her house is on fire.
She's just chilling back.
Kicking back. Ew, did you see the bottom of her motherfucking feet? They were like dirty. Look at this. Oh, that's nasty. I mean, maybe she's wearing flats or something, but it looks like she's barefoot. Oh my God, like the houses are, and nobody, I don't know if anybody's called by now or what's going on, but she's no longer sitting at the lawn chair. And then what I was talking about is like right down here somewhere, somebody's gonna come running out, watch.
This is now turned into a serious thing. Get out of the house! It's on fire!
You see, she's like back over here. So what I'm thinking is the lady of the house maybe busted her old man with another chick and just said fuck it. I don't know if she needs Dr. Scholl. She needs to wear something on her feet. That looked so gross. But yeah, I don't know what happened there, but I'm guessing it's some infidelity situation. This isn't serious and shocking. Let me put that better there. Let's continue watching. No Worries was a person. Look, somebody's gonna come out right here. Here she is. She's wearing like a pink shirt. Now here comes the shirtless hero. Oh my God. So I don't know if the woman barbecue anyone? No, thank you. But I don't know if the woman, the lawn chair lady, if you will, locked the other woman in the basement, because it kind of looked like she was crawling out of a window. Let me see. Because they said basement in the comments. Yeah, that's probably a basement. Oh my God, and now it's almost completely engulfed in flames. I really hope that there were no pets in there. Obviously no people were in there too, because that lady was murdery. She was feeling very murderous that day. I don't think she gave a shit. Maybe she thought, okay, well, we're gonna divorce now. I'm still on the infidelity speculation, but she probably was like, no one's gonna get the house if we're gonna divorce. But I'm sure there's other things in play that'll stop it. That'll I don't know how to say it, but if her intention was to get rid of the house, you never know. They could have insurance on it. The husband still might profit off of it. It's pretty crazy. Stacy says she's just sitting there like, yeah, fuck this house. I'll just buy another. Who knows? Because if she knew that woman was in the basement, that's like attempted murder. Not that it is, but not that it's like attempted murder, but it is attempted murder. She could have killed someone. Alright, so this next one is a 2-hour documentary that I'll probably put on the back burner for next time, because there's another documentary I want to show you all after these clips. So we got about 11 more clips to go, and then we'll get into the case that I had been talking to you about. So this week in Mexico, an overpass for a train collapsed and it killed over 20 people, and this is going to be an update on that. It's called Mexico Still Reeling, and it's going to be courtesy of CGTN America. So this is an overview look of it. So we see like 2 tracks here, and then this is the overpass. Underneath there's like a street that people drive on. So when this collapsed, it actually fell on to vehicles with people in them. Let's go ahead and keep watching this.
After a railway bridge gave way under a Mexico City metro train, emergency services were still pulling people from the wreckage, already being described as the capital's worst tragedy since a massive 2017 earthquake. The event has cost lives and serious injuries to both the train's passengers and those around the scene of the disaster.
Está procediendo a movilizar los vagones.
They are proceeding to move the metro carriages to decrease a bit the risk that existed in the area, and that in some way begin to return to normal. Traffic is cut off. Many people are affected, so this work that is being done right now is very important.
Around 500,000 people use Line 12 of the Mexico City Metro on a daily basis. The newest line on the network, it has been plagued by accusations of shoddy construction since it was inaugurated in 2012.
Shoddy construction, and I also heard that there was an earthquake, I want to say in 2017, that could have also damaged it, and I really doubt that they went back and checked and see if it needed maintenance, but that's going to be part of, you know, not maintaining the structure properly. And I bet it's going to come down to human fuck up of not maintaining it. And I bet nobody will take responsibility, or, you know, will they make anybody take responsibility? They're probably going to blame it on something else. I'm just speculating. I don't know. But I never see anybody hardly ever go down for being responsible for neglect of, you know, these kinds of situations. And except for the, what was it called? The Ghost Ship, I think, in San Francisco. It was a building, too, where people were living there, and they were doing like parties, I think, and like dance raves and like artistic performances and things like that. And then one day a fire got started and it killed a bunch of people. I want to say that the owner of that building, or whoever was organizing those events, were arrested, and I want to say they're still in prison at this time. So we'll see. I'm not too sure what's going to happen here, but I just have a feeling that we're never going to have a face that's going to take responsibility for what I want to speculate is neglect in this situation.
Enviamos nuestro pésame.
At Andrés Manuel López Obrador's morning press conference, there was a sober atmosphere as the president promised a full inquiry into the disaster.
The Mexican people must know the whole truth. Nothing will be hidden from them, because we must act responsibly, as always, as we in the government have done. We do not hide things, we speak truthfully.
Just how that investigation might affect AMLO's own government will be a question. The Mexico City mayor who presided over...
Nicholas, she probably ran through there. I mean, I really want to know the story behind that. Because when I saw that and she was sitting on her lawn chair, and I was remembering that scene from Waiting to Exhale when the lady grabbed all the clothes from the closet and she was like, get your shit, and then she put it in the car and then she lit the whole thing on fire, and I want to say she was smoking a cigarette and she was just like, fuck you. That's what that reminded me of, so that's why I was thinking was like infidelity, but I don't know. Usually they don't tell people's business, but they might. Nicolette says, walking through the shadow of death, she fears no evil. Man, I feel that about the lawn chair lady. She really gave no fucks that day at all. It was making me wonder what led to that whole situation.
Over the capital during the flagship construction of Metro Line 12 was Marcelo Ebrard, now the country's foreign secretary, a politician many see as AMLO's anointed successor. The former mayor...
What's up, Eddie Machete? How you doing? I see you in my comment section. Glad to see you here on a live, or in a live stream. Thank you very much for being here. Please hit the like.
The mayor has stated he will place himself at the full disposition of the authorities.
I share society's outrage for what happened, and I put myself at the disposal of authorities for all that's necessary to clarify and for them to determine the responsibilities. I'm here at their service, as always.
That inquiry, for the moment, remains a long way off, as the capital's emergency services concentrate on the immediate matter of saving as many lives as possible. Alistair...
That's a really tragic situation there. My thoughts and prayers go out to the families and friends of the dearly departed in that situation. That's awful. And I really hope that they do prosecute someone for this, because my feeling is that was just intentionally neglect, but I don't know if they'll ever be able to prove it. Alright, so this next clip that we're going to watch is about circus elephants and their new home. And we all know that I love my animal videos, so I had to add it. It's called Web Extra, Retired Circus Elephants Adjusting to New Florida Home, and that's going to be courtesy of CBS Miami. Let's take a look. Go.
Time to start taking care of yourself.
Boo! Ad. 1 second.
South of the Florida
Look
Georgia
how
line,
gorgeous.
a herd of gentle giants now roam. They are as big as they are majestic. Members of the largest Asian elephant herd in the Western Hemisphere and retirees from the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. Earlier this spring, they were shipped here, their lush new habitat at the White Oak Conservation Center. For conservationist Michelle Gadd, it's a dream come true.
A lot of kids have this dream of running away and joining the circus, and I was the kid that wanted to run away and let all the animals out of the circus.
Elephant attractions were a part of Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus for most of its 146-year history. But in
That's devastating. I'm really anti-circus animals and things like that. I don't think I've ever even been to a circus. And even now as an adult especially, I'm like, I won't invest, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta watch where you put your energy. Your money is your energy. So when you buy something, you're approving it and things like that. And I always knew that. And I always knew that having animals in captivity like this was really bad. As a kid, I used to go to like SeaWorld and like, I think it was Marine World and stuff like that, but I was just a kid. Like, I really didn't know any better. But now I really just am anti, capturing animals and using them for show. And I saw a clip, I want to say it was a news clip. Yeah, and they were talking about tigers and how they're used in other countries like for tourism. So they had a tiger, big, beautiful, gorgeous tiger, like chained down to the floor, and people were standing behind it taking pictures. One guy was like patting the tiger like, good boy, like you would a dog, and the tiger was gonna like do something about it, and real quick they like stunned it, and it's this torture. It's absolutely torture. And sometimes too, by the way, I see people, just regular people, that have their dogs in these crazy situations. When I used to work at the eye doctor's office, there used to be one guy that would ride around on a bike, not a motorcycle, not that would make it any better, but on a regular bicycle, and he had his dog like in front of him and like with his front paws to the handlebars and then like sitting back. And I thought to myself, what did it take to train that dog to even be okay with that? And I was just picturing horrible things. I don't even know why people do that. It is foul, Eddie Machete. It really is. It's truly tragic. The animals aren't made to be trained and things like that. Like, my dogs are just smart. So I give them an instruction, and they just kind of know how to communicate. You don't need to do the whole thing. And then I've also seen in circuses too, where to maim the animals and to train them, they'll also use water and then like one of those shock thingies. That's gotta hurt. And it's just really heartbreaking. I hate it. But in this case, the elephants are retired. They did their time, unfortunately, in the circuit. And now they're given a better home, if you will, because they can't let them out into the wild because they've been around humans for so long. They wouldn't make it. But let's keep watching this clip.
In 2016, Ringling finally retired the act after years of public outcry against what many considered animal cruelty. But their retirement wasn't perfect.
Aww.
They were moved to this small preserve south of Orlando. So last fall, the nonprofit Walter Conservation stepped in and bought the 35 elephants and started construction on the habitat.
Even then, they bought the elephants. That means whoever had them in the inappropriate facility, they made profit off of doing the right thing and giving the elephants a better home. It's just such bullshit.
These were their first baby steps into their new home, finally able to roam and feed and bond as a herd, and even cool off when the Florida sun becomes a bit too much.
Aww.
Elephants are among the most social and empathetic animals there are, and here not only are they getting to know their new surroundings, they're getting to better know each other.
The two oldest girls, I refer to them as the mean girls, but perhaps they're just a little bit...
They're probably like, do you even go here? This is our captive place. Or what is it? a sanctuary. They're like, this is our sanctuary. You don't sit here.
Bossy. So this is their first time really.
Or what is it? You can't sit with us.
Acting as a herd.
It's the first time interacting as a herd. They seem to have sorted out a hierarchy amongst themselves. They regrouped right outside the fence and again reassured each other, rumbled, touched each other, put their trunks in one another's mouths.
Oh my god, look at that. It's like they're cuddling. You see that? They're like being emotionally supportive with each other. That's what I see.
Wow.
Nick Newby leads the White Oak Elephant Project and works with the animals every day. He knows them all by name, even if they're only showing their backsides.
Angelica, Sarah, Mabel, Myrtle.
I don't know how much I agree with naming animals after people. I've always named my animals like, you know, pet type of names. I don't know if that's how everyone feels. Well, obviously not. This guy went ahead and named them all after women.
Newby says because they have been raised and trained and become dependent on humans, sending them into the wild...
Who knows? Maybe he named them after his ex-girlfriends or something. That's kind of weird to me.
...is not an option. But here, he hopes they can help humans better understand and appreciate this endangered species, of which only about 50,000 remain.
So what is your mission for them here?
Just for them to live a holistic life and a really complete life. The best thing for these animals is to live in a complex environment that's pretty darn close to the wild, honestly.
This is as wild and free as they can be.
I believe so, yes.
We want people to realize that elephants are beautiful just as they are. They don't need to be ridden or trained or do tricks or travel the world. Just let them be where they are, and you don't get anything more beautiful than that.
While there are possible plans for viewing areas around the habitat, White Oak has not decided.
Here they go.
Whether the elephants will be part of public tours here. As for the ones that have not yet been transferred, there's no solid timeline on when that will happen. Their new habitat is still being created, and the summer months are too hot for a move. Manuel Bojorquez, CBS.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel Bojorquez. I think that's how you said his name. Let's go ahead and continue on. This is called Testing the Hyperloop, and this is going to be courtesy of CNN 10. Let's take a look.
Stream 85 plus channels of live.
After this ad, 1 second, please.
Free.
Though R&D is moving ahead on the Hyperloop, an extremely high-speed form of magnetic rail transportation, it's still unknown if it'll make financial sense to build Hyperloop passenger networks. They may not be able to...
I always thought it would be a good idea to have something like a train system that went really fast. I mean, obviously if it was safe. So if this is going towards that, I'm all for it. Maybe that's the way of the future. Although I know not everybody's going to want to be sitting next to people, but I mean, we're already doing it on planes and stuff when we travel. I myself have never been on a train, but I might take a train over a plane if it's going to be like quick like this, but let's see what they say.
To carry as many passengers as current trains, and there are concerns about catastrophic accidents if something goes wrong. So
okay, never mind.
What's going right?
November 8th, 2020. Just outside Las Vegas, Nevada, Virgin Hyperloop passed another milestone in its ambitious journey to revolutionize the way we move. It carried out its first passenger ride.
They're brave. I would never test something like that.
Josh Geigel, CEO and co-founder of Virgin Hyperloop, and Sarah Lucien, the director of passenger experience, were the first to test it out.
And what was that experience like for you?
Oh, it was absolutely incredible. It was phenomenal to be sitting in a vehicle that we've designed, built, we've made safe. And once we started going down the pod, we felt a nice gentle acceleration. And then it was a pretty short test, but we got to the end, and all we want to do is go back again. Yeah. Yes.
Virgin Hyperloop is harnessing magnetic levitation technology and wants to take it to the next level.
So what we want to do is be the first new mode of mass transportation in over 100 years. So we're not a plane, we're not a car, we're not a boat. What we are is a pod moving inside of a tube at the speed of an aircraft for a fraction of the energy consumption, basically taking you directly from where you are to where you want to be without stopping at every place along the way, smooth, electrically, sustainably, autonomously. It's this idea that being able to move 10 times faster than a car, and doing that for a fraction of the emissions, being able to connect, being able to move so many people, being able to save so many, I'll say, tons of emissions, is really going to open up a lot of.
That's pretty wild to go from watching a news clip about a collapsed train to this hyper thing, whatever it's called, this hyper system for traveling. I mean, I hope it works out, because there could be a lot of benefits for that, but I don't know if it's safe. Nicolette says the circus was always boring to me. Yeah, it looked like fun, looked like people were having fun, but I just couldn't get past the whole, torturing of animals. I always knew that it was going to take something crazy to get an animal to behave like that and to do the things that they asked them to do. They're over there torturing them. So I just couldn't find the fun in that. And sometimes it's how it is. When you know too much, it really makes a difference on how you take in experiences.
Opportunities.
Has the pandemic altered the course of your planning or the execution of your pilot projects? What impact has it had for you?
The thing that I think is maybe a little bit of a silver lining, if we could say that, about the pandemic, is that it's really accelerated the talk about sustainability. We've seen a world with less congestion.
Hi, we are 5/5. How you doing? Thank you so much for being here. They say, I've never been to a circus. You're not missing out on anything. You're really not. You're good.
We've seen a world with less pollution. We've also felt this absolute human desire to be connected to each other. So we want to see each other. We want things faster. And this is the opportunity for us to rethink what it is we're doing about the future and make some changes. Instead of building back the past, we can actually build back the future.
Sorry, y'all, I got a little distracted there. Y'all are talking about the circus clip, and I'm like, I'm already on this train one, so I'm not too sure if like it's behind or if whatever's going on there. I just wanted to check, and I got a little distracted. I do apologize for that. But let's go ahead and continue this playlist. And this next clip is called The 9 at 9, Deadly Plane Crash, Trump and Facebook, and the Italy Trial. And this would be a good time to bring it to everyone's attention that the Italy Trial is the documentary that we're going to look at in a bit here. We got about 8 more clips to go, I want to say, maybe less than that. So let's go ahead and watch this. So this will be a part of a segment that has 9 stories. Obviously, that's why they call it the 9 at 9. And this is going to be courtesy of KSAT 12.
At least 2 people died after a small plane crashed into a Mississippi home. The Federal Aviation Administration is investigating what caused that crash.
Facebook's oversight board announced today that the company was justified in removing former President Donald Trump from Facebook after the January Capitol.
Wrong. You should be in jail. What was the other one? Quiet.
Riot. The board voted to permanently ban his account.
A jury in Rome began deliberating the fate of 2.
This is the case. This is the documentary we're going to watch in a little bit. Let's start that over.
Rome began deliberating the fate of 2 Americans charged with killing an Italian police officer back in 2019. Verdicts could come later today or tomorrow.
An attorney for Derek Chauvin is asking for a new trial. The former Minneapolis police officer was convicted on 3 counts for the death of George Floyd. The motion for a new trial cites allegations of jury and prosecutorial misconduct, witness intimidation, and the impact of publicity.
The migrant shelter at Freeman Coliseum is expected to stop housing unaccompanied teen boys in about 4 weeks. Bexar County Judge Nelson Wolf says more than 1,500 teens remained at the shelter as of Monday. The contract to lease out the expo hall ends on May 30th.
President Joe Biden set a new goal to deliver at least 1 dose of the COVID-19 vaccine.
Yeah, no, I don't care. 70% of adult Americans with at least 1 dose by July 4th. No. That's crazy. They must really think they've got us all figured out and brainwashed, but I'm not going.
vaccine to 70% of American adults by July 4th. The president is calling for states and pharmacies to make shots available on a walk-in basis.
Today, ambassadors from the World Trade Organization will discuss a waiver on intellectual property protections for COVID-19 vaccines. This would allow countries to share how the vaccine is made, which could help developing countries fight the pandemic.
The U.S. birth rate fell 4% last year. This according to a government report released today. It's the largest single-year decrease in nearly 50 years, and experts say the pandemic definitely contributed to it.
And it's Cinco de Mayo. Contrary to popular belief, it's not Mexico's Independence Day. That is celebrated.
Did you see those tacos? They looked freaking good. That's how I like them, with everything. Cilantro, onion, and some the red hot sauce. Yum.
Mexico's Independence Day. That is celebrated on September 16th. May 5th marks the Mexican Army's victory over France and the Battle of Puebla. And that's today's 9 at 9.
Sweet. Hey, Dr. Bombay, how's it going? I haven't seen you in a minute. Really glad that you're here. I hope you stick around. We're going to be here for a little bit longer. We're actually going to take a look at a documentary here in a minute, but I'll explain that right before we get to that. Let's go ahead and continue with my playlist, and the next clip is called Suspects Arrested After the Okay, no, we're not going to do that. We already saw enough about that cult, and it's really no new information. It's the same stuff that was happening from today and yesterday. So let's continue after that, and it's going to be Bob Ross plushies used to test a new roller coaster, and that's going to be courtesy of KHOU 11. Let's take a look. This is a really cute clip, by the way. I want one of these Bob Ross plushies. They're so cute. Watch.
Tonight, I'll be eating a...
Watch after this ad. Dr. Moody actually have IMTK Media. Okay. Thank you for letting me know. I didn't know that. Do you want me to mod you up on that account or on this one, Dr. Bombay? Let me know. Alright, so this says, let me pause this real quick. I'll just lower the volume since there's going to be some reading here. It says, Kings Island tested its Orion Giga coaster with some special guest Bob Ross plushies. Look how cute. I'm going to make the screen bigger because they're just so cute. I want one so bad. Alright, it says, alright, there they go. Testing out the roller coaster. Those Bob Ross plushies have a better life than I do right now. The Ohio Amusement Park said it wanted to put a smile on everyone's face ahead of its reopening on May 15th. So this is a little bit of a publicity. Okay, Dr. Mombi, I'll do that right now. It says Bob Ross plushie is one of the most popular Midway game prizes at Kings Island, according to the park. Alright, so let's go ahead and continue on with this next clip that went ahead and played itself. It's called This Rabbit Skateboards. Cookie Isn't Your Typical Pet, and it's courtesy of KHOU 11 again. This rabbit named Cookie has been skateboarding for most of his life, according to his owner Ron Goodall. So cool, look. Hang 10, dude. The 7-year-old rabbit lives in Windsor, Canada, where he has no cage and eats his meals at the family table. Cookie also enjoys, what is this? Tobogganing? I don't know what that is. Bike riding and picnics. Nicolette says, is that like the high-speed rail? I want to say that it is, maybe. That train clip that we saw a little while ago. I've always been a supporter of that. I think mass transit is a good idea if people behaved better, because I've seen crazy things happen like on the subway and on buses and stuff like that. So a part of me is kind of like, I don't know if I want to be that close like to strangers that I don't know. But like a high-speed railroad, I'm up for it. I would probably travel more if that was going to be the case. But we'll see what the future holds on that one. Let's continue watching this clip real quick. It says, he says Cookie performs at magic shows where both children and adults line up to take pictures with him. Oh, did you see him running? He's so cute. There he is at the skate park. Cookie also visits children's hospitals and treatment centers where he brightens up the day of some pretty amazing kids. This is a cool bunny. Oh, cool. And now we're going to look at a hippopotamus. Me and my animal clips. Alright, let's watch this one real quick. It's called Fiona the Hippo Loves the Rain. And that's going to be courtesy of KHOU 11. Aww. Cincinnati Zoo and Botanical Garden have a hippopotamus. And she's drinking rainwater. So cute. There's a little mouth open. Has anybody ever seen Madagascar? Wasn't her name Fiona too? I don't remember. I need to see that movie again, but this is what it reminds me of. She's so cute. She's not even worried about acid rain or anything. Oh, her tongue's all moving around. Gorgeous creature. I love animals. They're so cute. Neat. Oh, there's another one back there, I think. So I know people aren't fans of the circus, but how do you feel about the zoo? Because I'll go to the zoo, to be honest. It's not that different, but it's really not that much the same too. I like to think that the animals at the zoo are happier than being trained at the circus, but how do you all feel about the zoo? Alright, let's watch this next clip while I wait for the answer. It's called News Update. Mess up. Police arrest suspected serial rapist. And this is going to be courtesy of azfamily powered by 3TV. And here we go.
This is an Arizona's Family News Update.
Good morning, Arizona. Scott Passmore here with the latest stories we're following from the Arizona's Family Newsroom. A retired Border Patrol agent now accused in a series of rapes.
He's a retired Border Patrol agent. And he was a serial rapist. Let's continue watching.
Dating back more than 2 decades. 57-year-old John Daly III suspected of a series of sexual assaults between July of 1999 and October of 2001. Police say the assaults happened in Mesa, Gilbert, Chandler, and Bisbee. Last month, police say DNA linked Daly to 2 of those assaults. He was arrested Tuesday in Sierra Vista. And another cold case arrest. Authorities in Pinal County arrested a man accused of killing a woman in Alabama more than 30 years ago. 65-year-old Anthony Hayes was taken in.
Observing Stuff says, wow, who knows how many people he traumatized. Hell, I'm traumatized just hearing the story. That's crazy. That reminds me of, I don't remember his name. I'm really bad with names. But there was another Border Patrol agent a few years ago that was killing prostitutes. If I find any clips on that, I'll go ahead and share that, because that was a crazy story too. But let's continue looking at this one. And this is going to be like 2 stories back to back, and then after that they're going to get on to some local stuff like the weather and other things. They just kind of piled everything up on one clip, but we're just going to watch the first 2 stories.
Into custody on Tuesday. Officials say he is connected to the murder of Stella McCrary, who was found dead in Alabama back in January of 1988. Investigators began looking at the case again in March, leading to his arrest. No word on how he's connected or what led investigators to him.
Observing Stuff says, I wonder how you get caught for murder 30 years ago. One thing that I have been noticing on some of the cold cases that I'm finding out are having, how do I say it, the updates or arrests, a lot of it has to do with the genealogy. So with DNA, people and like experts end up making like a family tree, and then from there they deduce who matches the DNA. So maybe that's what happened here. I'm not too sure, but you know, if I find out, of course, I'll post it. All right, so that was the 2 stories from that clip. Let's go ahead and move on. And this next one is called Suspect in Car Theft with Child Inside Held on $5,000 Bond. And that's going to be courtesy of WLKY News Louisville.
Live TV.
After this clip. And let's go ahead and play.
New at noon, a Louisville man accused of stealing a car with a child inside faced a judge this morning in arraignment court.
Now posted a news clip about this. I keep saying posting. I don't know if I should say share on a live stream. I'm trying to find a way to use the proper terminology on some of this. But so they stole a car with a child inside, and then they left the car underneath a lit lamppost, and the child was asleep in the car. So I'm really hoping that the child was asleep for the whole thing, and that they don't have anything to look back on to re-traumatize them about this, because since the child was asleep, it could have been that they were already asleep the whole time, or it could be that maybe like from waiting and being alone that the baby just fell asleep. But either way, it's traumatizing enough. But hopefully they don't remember any of this, because this is terrible thing to do.
Stephen Murphy is charged with theft by unlawful taking and criminal trespassing. Police say Murphy took the car from the Speedway gas station on Fagan Bush Lane near Highview Tuesday morning. About an hour later, authorities found the car abandoned 4 miles away at the Meyer on Preston. The 5-year-old girl was still asleep in the back seat.
Still asleep. That tells me she was already asleep. So hopefully she wasn't awake for any of this. Nicolette Moore says people are dying of CV. I'm assuming that's coronavirus after that shot, getting blood clots, and it still doesn't stop the coronavirus. Yes, and then I think maybe you were here when I also showed a news clip about how the vaccine can actually trigger a dormant herpes outbreak. Like, screw that. That's crazy. Let's continue watching this clip.
Officers found Murphy hiding in a playset in the backyard of a home on Chapel Hill Road. Murphy is due back in court May 13th. If he posts bond, he'll be placed on home incarceration.
Didn't even get into any wine, I swear.
My bad, you guys. Alright.
Live TV.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing this screen, and then I'm going to share a different screen. 1 second, just bear with me. Go ahead and get rid of that so I don't get confused. And that should be, let's see, which one is it? 232. Okay, hold on. Share screen, Chrome tab. The one that says 232. Share audio. Okay, and let's share. Okay, so this next documentary we're gonna watch, it's 47 minutes long, and it's about a case that happened in Rome. 2 Americans, young adult men, male, went to Rome, and they were over there partying and having a good old time, doing drugs and doing their crazy shit, and they were out and about looking to score, and they ended up being apprehended by plainclothes police officers. I guess they were undercover in a way, trying to bust people, you know, looking for drugs or getting fucked up at the plaza, wherever they were at, and the officer ended up passing away. Today was the last day of trial, and well, actually I want to say yesterday was the last day of trial, and today a verdict came back. But first, before I get into that part, I wanted to show you the situation that happened that led to them being arrested and going to court. So this is going to be called 32 Seconds, A Deadly Night in Rome. This is a full documentary, and this is going to be courtesy of ABC 7 News Bay Area. So let's go ahead and take a look at that.
I am an investigative reporter based in San Francisco and rarely travel overseas on assignment. But this was different. 2 California college students and their parents at the center of an international incident, July 26, 2019.
He said, "Mom, it's really, really bad." He said, "They're saying that I killed a cop," and then the phone just went dead.
The people of Italy were mourning a 35-year-old police officer, Carabinieri Deputy Brigadier Mario Circello Rega. He had just returned to work after his honeymoon and was...
Alright, so it wasn't doing that whole pause, stop thing, so let me just try to fix that real quick by resharing the screen. I do apologize. I'm just noticing that it keeps starting and stopping. I'm not too sure what's going on, but let me try again. I'll just continue from where we left off here.
Stabbed to death trying to arrest suspects after what police called a drug deal gone bad. held in the same church in which he married and broadcast live across the country. The officer's wife, Rosa Maria, wept at his casket. Thousands came to pay their respects, including the Italian Prime Minister.
Ai familiari, alla moglie.
Giuseppe Conte told reporters this is a very sad loss that's touching all of us very deeply. One life lost. So many more changed forever. How devastating it must be for a mom to see her baby in prison. By a terrible incident that took just 32 seconds.
I'm gonna go ahead and reload this since it's there. I do apologize. Just give me one moment. I'm gonna try to find it again because that's crazy. I shouldn't be doing that. 1 second. Let me just find where we left off. I believe that's here. And then reshare. 1 second. Let's try that again.
To see her baby. The officer's wife, Rosa Maria, wept at his casket. Thousands came to pay their respects, including the Italian Prime Minister.
Ai familiari, alla moglie.
Giuseppe Conte told reporters this is a very sad loss that's touching all of us very deeply. One life lost. So many more changed forever. How devastating it must be for a mom to see her baby in prison. By a terrible incident that took just 32 seconds. Just hours after Officer Cicella Rega died, police released these photos of the suspects being questioned in their room at the Meridian Hotel. 19-year-old Finnegan Elder and 18-year-old Gabriel Natale Hgorth had come to Italy on vacation. They're now held in this prison in the heart of Rome. There's also a controversy over one of the young men being held before interrogation with a blindfold over his face. I'll be landing soon and covering it this week. I went straight to the crime scene that turned into a memorial to the fallen Carabinieri. Just met a gentleman on the street. Can you tell me your name, please?
Marco.
What's it like seeing this?
If they were drunk or I don't know, but it was something wrong, and I hope there will be justice.
I wonder what justice looks like to you. What should happen to those two young men?
That they will stay here in Italy in jail until they die.
In the days and weeks to come, I found that the Italian legal system is different than the American in one big way: constant leaks to the media. I obtained complete investigative reports that include photos, interviews, and the teens' text messages from that night, and can now reveal exactly what happened. Could the killing have been a massive misunderstanding? Could it have been self-defense? With their parents' first on-camera interviews, I can also shed new light on both Finn and Gabe's upbringing.
We took family walks, we have Sunday family dinners, we were very involved in sports, PTA at his middle school. Ethan coached soccer, helped to coach baseball, so we have been and are still very close.
We've always been parents that have talked about stuff before they happen. You see the billboards that say, talk to your kids about this or that, and we've always done that ahead of time. Sex, drugs, life, love.
In many ways, they were just average kids from the neighborhood, but I can trace their long path, how they wound up on that street in Rome after 3 a.m. in a life or death struggle with police.
I can't picture him doing something like that.
Finn Elder grew up in San Francisco, just blocks from the Pacific Ocean. The home has been in the family for generations. His father, Ethan, works for a company that builds auto service centers. His mother, Leah, in supply chain logistics. The day after the killing, after Finn said he stabbed the officer in self-defense, they posted a sign on their door asking for privacy.
Now, I've known Finn since he was born, and I'm in shock. He's the nicest guy, one of the nicest neighbors I have.
As soon as word reached California about what happened in Italy, I checked Finn's social media. He described himself on Instagram as King of Nothing and wrote, "Death is guaranteed, life is not." He attended Sacred Heart Cathedral Prep. He was just another high school junior when he recorded his French final.
Bonjour, ça va? Bonjour, Frankie.
Je suis comme ci, comme ça. Et toi? Très bien.
Finn and his friends hung out in a wooded park in San Francisco called Stern Grove. That's him doing a flip. Something happened in that park that changed his life's trajectory and eventually brought him to Rome and to that street corner. Finn played on the school football team, number 87, but he was forced to leave Sacred Heart after a violent confrontation with a teammate. His family would later describe it as a mutually agreed upon fight, kind of a contest.
That was known about and discussed in advance, and Finn always contended that the other boy was his friend and that the other players and kids that were there that night were egging everybody on.
The father of Finn's victim describes it differently.
My son almost lost his life.
The father tells me the boys argued over a girl during a party there at Stern Grove the Saturday night before Halloween 2016. Police records show it was just after 10 p.m. The victim's father tells me both boys squared off, but Finn put up both hands and appeared to back off. He says when his son turned away, Finn tapped him on the shoulder and sucker punched him twice, knocking him to the ground.
Okay, so far for anybody that, I don't know if maybe people got kicked out, I'm not too sure, but it does say I only have one person, and I know I had a couple more than that in here, so I don't know if that's being like misread. But right now they are talking about one of the suspects in this story, and apparently he got into a fight, or was about to get into a fight with someone else, and he himself, the suspect in that situation, raised his hands up and said like, okay, I'm not gonna fight you, but then the other person turned around and then he tapped him on the shoulder, so he turned back around and he essentially sucker punched him twice. So that gives us insight on the kinds of activities that one of the suspects was into before he ever even went to Rome. But keep watching, this story gets so crazy. I'm really glad I was able to find a whole documentary on it. This is really convenient. But let's keep watching.
He hit his head hard and suffered a traumatic brain injury. The 16-year-old was in a coma for a week, had bleeding on the brain, memory loss, and took months to recover. He will always have a metal plate in his head where the surgeon operated.
Our family went through much pain and suffering, not knowing how this may change him. Watching him laying unresponsive in the ICU early on and fearing the worst.
Alright, so that's going to be an ad. Just 1 second, please. I'll just go ahead and let that play until I can, skip out of here.
Police arrested Finn, but as a juvenile, his assault charge was dismissed after a year of probation. The other boy's father wrote a victim impact statement read aloud in court to Finn Elder.
We want you to know that we forgive you.
He agreed to read the statement if I didn't name him or his son.
We hope that you make your recovery as my son has. Finish out your high school in a positive way and go on to a good future yourself without fights or finding your way into the criminal system again.
But more trouble was ahead. Finn went on to play rugby for the Golden Gate Club, his coach, Tony Wells.
Finn, he was a popular guy with his peers, worked hard, had great parents. Ethan and Leah were hands-on, and they were always volunteering.
Leah Elder planned team trips, including this one to a tournament at UCLA. Then what the family describes as a turning point. Finn was working at an auto dealer's service center, perched on a ladder installing a cover on one of those reels near the ceiling. The ladder tipped. He fell 15 feet, leaving half his finger behind. 2 surgeries at Stanford Medical Center failed to reattach it.
He just said that it was difficult and it needed to heal. So, and I think it was pretty much the beginning of the season when it happened.
And he couldn't play sports any longer with that.
Yeah, with the thing, yeah.
He was in a staggering amount of pain for a long time.
You can tell they have money. I just wanted to mention real quick, because look at this wallpaper. That looks expensive as hell. I've never seen anything like that in real life.
It was almost a year exactly since Stern Grove. Did he think this was somehow a payback?
No, it was just coincidental.
But I don't discount the idea that Finn's kind of immature brain thought that this was some sort of black cloud that had now decided to park itself over his head.
It's like a karma thing.
I don't agree with the word karma, but
Alright, so far we have that Finn got into a fight with someone and he sent him to a coma after basically sucker punching him twice. And then one day, sometime after that, he was working and he lost a finger, and the reporter asked the mom if she felt that maybe it was karma, and she said that she doesn't agree with that. She's got a real issue with justice, I guess, because, I mean, what else could it be? You know what I mean? It just the timing and everything, but I guess she has a real issue with saying that he had it coming, basically, is what it is. I'm speculating, of course.
But I think that Finn's psyche took it really hard.
As part of his probation in the Stern Grove assault case, Finn had to stay away from Sacred Heart or any of its off-campus functions, so he transferred to Tamalpais High School in Mill Valley, just north of San Francisco across the Golden Gate Bridge. His mother tells me the finger injury distracted from his studies, and Finn didn't graduate.
The finger injury distracted him from his studies. She's just making excuses for him. And I saw this before I presented it to you all because I wanted to make sure that it was something that I was going to approve of for you all. But here we basically have a bunch of people that have a bunch of money who refuse to take responsibility for their actions or lack thereof. You'll see what I mean.
With his class, he passed a high school equivalency test.
Congratulations, class of 2018.
At Tamalpais High, Finn met Gabriel Natale. His father, Fabrizio, was born in Italy. He's an investment officer for a state worker pension fund. His mother, Heidi Hgorth, is a Marin County realtor. I spoke to her about Gabe.
He is stubborn, and unfortunately that might come from me. He has a teenager's quick temper and can be loud when he's mad. I blame that on the Italian side.
I also live in the area, and my own sons know some of Finn and Gabe's circle of friends. I spoke with several of those teens, and a troubling profile of both suspects emerged, of drugs and violence.
When Gabe is on drugs, I've been around Gabe on drugs, he's insane. He has a lot of anger, I feel like, and it's very obvious in his personality. He's very confident in himself, kind of like cocky, thinks he's better than everyone.
Sorry, but I had to take a quick break to let my dog out. But did you hear that? She said that she blamed the aggressive side of his nature on the Italian side. So again, just making excuses for him and his shitty ass behavior. And then over here we're gonna have the other suspect playing around with guns, trying to look tough, and listening to rap music, which you'll see here in a minute what the mom says about that. So we already know she's not gonna admit to any responsibility for him or herself. Okay, observing stuff. So I don't know if you got to see like me explain what it is. So I don't know if you need me to explain all of it, but I don't mind. So it's two guys from California, okay? They're young adults. One of them got into a fight in high school. He sucker punched his quote-unquote opponent, and he ended up landing in a coma for a week. And then because he was a minor, he didn't really suffer any consequences. I want to say he did like probably probation or something like that, and then even the family like forgave him. So he was basically just let off the hook for that. And then sometime after that, I say karma bit him in the ass, and he lost a finger while working. And allegedly because of that, he couldn't do sports anymore, and he couldn't focus on his studies, allegedly. So that's him. And then now they're gonna explain a little bit about the other guy. Now, these two dudes ended up going to Rome because that was their parents' solution to putting them on the right track, not, getting them help for their, what we're going to find out is, their drug use and this obsession with weapons, not do community service, not, maybe try to, all these other things that they could have done to redirect his path. They basically let him go to Rome by himself with his friend, or I think he meets up with his friend over there. And then it just went really bad, but I don't want to tell too much. So right now they're going to talk about the second suspect and what his lifestyle was like. So let's go ahead and watch. Okay, so
a lot of kids here in Marin, I feel like, think they can get away with anything with money.
You heard what she said, right? She said they think they can get away with anything as long as they have money, and that's basically the attitude that we're gonna see during this documentary here.
Italian authorities confiscated Gabe and Finn's cell phones after their arrest and leaked the contents to reporters, videos, photographs, and social media posts. Both teens displayed a fascination with weapons, knives, brass knuckles, and guns. Finn recorded himself putting a knife to his girlfriend's face with the caption, "I kill you."
See, like, who the fuck does that? If I was his girlfriend, I would have broken up with him right then and there. That's disturbing as fuck. No normal person thinks to do this shit, much less go ahead and do it. And then this was like a Snapchat, so like his friends probably saw that too, and who knows who else. And it should have been, corrected, but it wasn't, and it's gonna get really bad here. I know, observing this is a really crazy story. And by the way, their verdict came in today, but we'll get into that afterwards.
Holding a gun to his head, writing, "There's no bullets in this bitch," and vaping in bed with a gun. Gabe recorded himself driving down a San Francisco street with a gun on the steering wheel.
Okay, and this is going to be an ad. There's going to be a few of these during this documentary, which was expected, but I'll be muting them and trying to fill in the dead air, as I usually do. Just 1 second.
Here, he opened fire while on a Marin County hilltop.
We're not a gun family. We never have been a gun family.
All right, this is the mother of the second suspect, and she's full of shit too. Watch.
Never owned a gun. We've never shot a gun. We were some of the later parents to even allow play Nerf guns in the house.
And to see that gun was a surprise. You didn't know he had it.
No.
That's another thing. They're gonna look. She's even looking off to the side, like, no, she knew. She's fucking lying right here. I could tell. But they're going to be doing that a lot. They're going to be denying things. They're going to be blaming other things on other people. It's not their fault. It's not their kids' fault. They didn't do shit wrong. Everybody else is to blame, and everything else. The aggression, it's from the Italian side. The loving of guns and drugs. They're going to blame rap music. Like, come on. These people are totally full of fucking shit, and it's just so enraging to see this, because I didn't even get one parent that gave a shit about me, and these two had parents that were spoiling the shit out of them. And to be honest, I think even their parents were probably spoiled growing up, because they're completely out of touch with reality and they won't accept responsibility for anything that happened. Let's continue watching.
Investigators wrote they also saw copious amounts of drugs and pictures on both teens' phones, marijuana, cocaine, prescription medication, and large sums of money that could be derived.
Yeah, sometimes in their pictures, they look like they were born stoned. It's fucking crazy.
From the sale of narcotics based on text messages found. Finn had a large bag of marijuana, a picture with lines of cocaine, and a wad of $100 bills.
Finn saw those images as well in jail. He said, like teen boys would, I never thought those pictures would get out. I was very ashamed, and they were very hurtful.
Were you aware, though, that he was doing drugs and perhaps selling, and he was interested in knives and a gun?
Well, there was always, some threat or level of drugs with teenage boys, and this town in particular. Selling drugs and guns and knives, no.
The rest of the stuff that was there, looked to me to be a lot of mimicking of rap star artists, music.
See, she's blaming the rap culture. Or it's either the rap culture, it's rock music, the evil rock music, and it's never them. And a part of me, kind of wonders if because, in the situation where it's both parents that are being interviewed, if because they were both working and making a ton of money that they just weren't paying attention to the parenting aspect of life. But it seems to me like they weren't very involved, and that's how come they're able to just say, I didn't know. No, it wasn't that. It wasn't us. It wasn't him. It was everything and everybody else. They're crazy. Yeah, rap is not any kind of excuse. They're always gonna try to blame somebody else that's not them for the shitty behavior that they choose to have. If that was the case, let's say for example that it was rap music, weren't they supposed to be around to put that into context? Like, where the fuck were they? And if they couldn't be there, why didn't they have somebody else, bring those things to their attention? You can tell they were able to do whatever they wanted, whenever they wanted. And it's going to be very evident the more we watch this documentary.
Music, copying photos that he's seen.
With the fanned money.
Yeah, fanned money, the drugs, the guns pointing at the head. That, seems to be stuff that, if you look at any of the rap music, social media, there's a lot of that out there, and that looked.
That's trash. That's bullshit. And you can tell she's even blinking real hard, like, please don't blame me. It wasn't me. I did everything. No, she didn't. I don't think she was probably ever even around.
Be a copycat thing to me. It's the only explanation and guess that I have, because again, I wasn't aware of any of that.
Gabe had this picture of jars of marijuana and a scale.
That's crazy. You're gonna tell me that they didn't know they had all this shit in their rooms? My relatives would read my diary. There was no privacy growing up. And these guys allegedly were able to have all that. You can smell that, by the way. I'm sure you all know that. One time when I was working at Ticketmaster, one of my friends had a sack in his pocket, and he was helping me on an account, and I was like, dude, do you have weed on you? And he was like, yeah. And I go, I can smell it. And he was like, really? And I go, if I can smell it, that means everybody can smell it. We need to put that shit away. That was funny. But yeah, true story.
And social media posts in which he appears to be selling drugs. This Snapchat of OxyContin pills, for example.
You might think I'm dumb. I'm just 17 with a...
Okay, and here he is listening to music that might get me copyrighted. So let me just play it. Yeah, he's just rapping, pretending to rap or whatever. Let's go ahead and skip that.
Less than a month before his arrest in Rome, Gabe's mother texted about her suspicion that he was dealing drugs. Heidi Hgorth wrote on WhatsApp,
if you need to make me the bad guy so you can move out and do your drugs and sell your drugs.
See? She knew. This is the mom. If you need me to make me the bad guy so you guys can move out and do your drugs and sell your drugs and party all night and not have a life that's productive, then you go ahead and do that. See? What kind of intervention is that? That's bad parenting. Period. That's crazy that she's even like, well, I guess she didn't approve of this being like put out there, but she knows this message was put out there, and she's still denying that she even knew that he was into this.
And party all night and not have a life that's productive, and then you go ahead and do that.
LOL, you sound so ridiculous. Go and sell your drugs? Just because I tried some mushrooms for the second time in my life and decided to be honest and tell you?
Okay, he says, I tried mushrooms for the second time in my life. That's a lie, I'm sure. And it says, and decided to be honest and tell you, oh, he's the good guy. He's the good guy because he was being honest, and it's a bunch of bullshit. He was totally downplaying what he was actually doing in real life, and we're able to see it, and how they are just right in the middle of it, swimming in complete bullshit, and they can't even tell.
It is that you are not still selling drugs, since you do not have a job and you continue to buy stuff, expensive stuff.
See? So she did know. She absolutely knew. And she even gave him permission. She was like, go ahead and do that. She never once said, go ahead and do that, but you can't be living in my roof. He didn't get kicked out or anything like that. She was just like, go ahead. Like, let's see what happens. She completely enabled his behavior. And in a more just world, she would also be held accountable for enabling that and allowing a lot of his bullshit. She should have been there to intervene on the bullshit, and she wasn't. And now she's trying to tell us that it was a big surprise that he's capable of doing all this shit when there's all this evidence that he basically didn't give a shit about fuck.
When Italian police leaked that exchange to reporters, Gabe's mother gave Meade this note her son left on July 16th, just 3 days before he left for Italy.
Dear Mom, I want to apologize again for the fight I started last time I was here. I really regret what I...
Alright, and this is how he sucks up to her to make her happy again so she could be complicit and be like, oh, I have a good boy, what a good boy, oh, he's sorry, and he apologizes, I forgive you, and then she'll let him back in, and he'll be continuing to do the shit that he does until she finds out and then gets mad again, and then it's just a cycle over and over and over until something horrible happens, and it does.
said and the way I behaved toward you. I love you with all my heart, and someday I will be able to fully show it.
Gabe had just wrapped up his first year at Santa Barbara City College. Finn went to San Diego Mesa College, and he had been struggling with what his family described as a bad group of friends. They thought a solo trip to Europe could be a fresh start.
A solo trip to Europe would be a fresh start. How quaint.
He was a little ambivalent about junior college in San Diego at that.
He was a little ambivalent about going to college. He was scared. He was so scared to go to college, but not to roam and stab people.
Point. So my hope was that it would allow him to sort of clear his mind, allow him to just get out of kind of a little bit of this.
He ended up in Rome. And apparently he used frequent travel credits. So that tells us that they travel a lot. Well, they have money. Later on, they'll say how they make their money, like what their careers are or whatever. They're both workers. They both work. By the way, I wanted to say, look at this wallpaper. Doesn't that look expensive? That wallpaper looks expensive as fuck. I've never even seen anything like that in real life. You could just look at it and tell that cost a penny, because that's not a penny, but like, you know how they say a pretty penny? Yeah, that shit looks expensive as hell. So I think a lot of it is they're out of touch with reality and they've just been living a spoiled life. I bet these two probably even fucked shit up when they were young, and that's why they're making so many excuses for their children, their quote-unquote adult children. It does look expensive. You can just tell the way it sparkles. I mean, I'm sure that's not real gold, but still, that looks fancy as hell.
The state of mind he was in and some of the friends he was with, and just experience something different.
Finn was in Berlin, Germany, about to visit Spain and then fly home when he connected through social media with his friend and asked his parents if he could take a detour.
Gabe invited me. I have this friend who is half Italian. You know, he says he's in Rome, and so.
Each summer, Fabrizio Natale would take Gabe and his little brother to visit their grandfather for 2 to 3 weeks at a seaside villa in Finnegan, about an hour outside Rome.
Hello?
I stopped there 2 days after Officer Chuchella Rega died. We're not hearing any answer at this point. We want to go into the beach town today to see if there's anyone else here who knows Gabe, who talked to him in the recent weeks. Gabe's Facebook still includes this picture of him boxing on the Finnegan sand from a few years ago. Fabrizio Natale told me he had never heard of Finn Elder before, that he wasn't one of his son's close friends. But he gave permission for Gabe to go to Rome. He left the beach house on Wednesday, July 24th at about 6 p.m., hitching a ride.
Gave permission. You know, the conversation was more like, hey, Mom, Dad, I want to go to Rome. And it's like, no, I'm still going. I don't care. I bet you. They probably said yes right away, but I'm guessing even if they would have said no, they probably would have gone anyways. You could tell they don't care. They're going to do whatever they want.
With his uncle Claudio. That's Claudio on the right, escorting Fabrizio past the Italian media. When Finn arrived in Rome, he wasn't able to connect with Gabe at first.
And so he asked if I could get him a hotel room so that he would have at least a place to stay. And he was only supposed to stay that night and then leave.
Oh, only one night? Mm-hmm. Leah Elder used frequent.
Even how she said it, he was only supposed to stay one night. She even closes her eyes. You can tell when someone's like lying or not being like completely truthful. To me, like they close their eyes and they keep them closed. Like I can't see you, you can't see me, and I'm lying here. That's just, I'm speculating. That's my guess.
When traveler points to book a room at the Meridian Hotel, room 109.
Later Wednesday, which would have been when we woke up or something, he said that they did meet up. So then that's when we extended it one more day.
So he was only supposed to be there one day, and because daddy's little boy, mama's little boy over there, wanted to stay another day, of course they allowed it, and then that's where shit got bad.
Oof. I'm sure you wish you hadn't extended another day.
I do.
That first night went by without incident. Gabe's Snapchat shows the teens out in Rome. Over one picture at 10 o'clock, he wrote,
Yeah, they weren't out there doing community service. They weren't out there doing research. They weren't out there learning about, you know, the old architectures or ancient Rome. None of that. They went over there to get fucked up. And the parents had to know that. And this is what I'm saying. They should also be held responsible because they fucking allowed all this shit to happen. I blame the parents on this one just as much as the suspects themselves. That's just my opinion.
Whenever I meet up with my hometown friends, I tell them to meet me a la Piazza di Spagna.
That's Finn with his shirt off. An hour later, Gabe Snapchats from the Ice Club, a popular night spot in the Monte area of Rome. They returned to their hotel room safely. What happened the following night is spelled out in the Carabinieri's official investigative report. 218 pages that I obtained, translated, and analyzed. I also shared notes with a renowned investigative journalist at one of Italy's largest newspapers, La Repubblica. Federica Angeli's reporting on the mafia sent 32 of its members to prison.
And I've been living for the last 6 years with protection by the police for denouncing the mafia.
She is also investigating what happened that deadly night in July. Deputy Brigadier Mario Circella Rega and Carabinieri Andrea Variali are just starting their midnight to 6 a.m. shift. You can see them leaving the Piazza Farnese police station barracks in plain clothes. Just across the Tiber River, Finn and Gabe arrive at the popular nightlife area called Trastevere. Security cameras capture them walking near the fountain in Piazza Trelusa, an area known for drugs. The young men catch the attention of 4 off-duty officers. One snaps a cell phone picture, that's Gabe's, back to the camera, and sends it to Officer Variali with a message. They want to buy. They are asking everyone, believe me, I really know 2 chickens. The officer identifies the bald with.
I looked at the comment section for this because I wanted to find out what some of the stuff meant. But apparently, like, when Italians, or I'm not too sure, maybe this is a Europe thing, when they describe them as 2 chickens, they were basically saying like 2 suckers, like 2 dumbasses, that kind of thing.
With the muscles as a drug dealer's mediator. His name is Sergio Brugitelli, 47 years old.
This is the way the drug dealer acts. They operate with the help of a mediator. They don't approach directly the client. The mediator finds the wealthy client and he calls the drug dealer and organizes the meeting.
Brugitelli, the mediator, would later tell police that Gabe asked in Italian if he had any cocaine to sell.
I told him that I didn't have the drug with me, but that I was able to recover it.
He said Gabe wanted 80 euros worth and that he went to a nearby ATM and returned. The mediator took Finn and Gabe on a 10-minute walk. Again, security cameras caught them along the way to Piazza Mastai. Brugitelli, the mediator, said he was looking for a friend of mine
who sells the drug, Italo.
Not seeing him in the square, the mediator calls 26-year-old Italo Pompei, who has a criminal record for drug dealing. Pompei confirms he has cocaine and asks them to wait. This witness, Tamer Salem, told police he saw Finn, Gabe, and the mediator sitting on this bench and that they all appeared under the influence of alcohol or drugs.
Then the pusher calls Brugitelli, the mediator, back, saying to meet him a couple blocks away near the Alcazar Theater. Finn stays behind at Piazza Mastai with the mediator's bike and backpack. Remember, the off-duty police are following them. Security cameras catch two officers on a motorcycle headed for the rendezvous at the Alcazar.
Alright, so here we have Finn and the other guy, I forgot his name, Gabriel, and they are using a mediator to score some drugs, and that mediator is supposed to lead them to the main drug dealer. Meanwhile, two officers that are in plain clothes, undercover, it seems like, follow them, so they already see what's going down here in the situation.
There, Pompey the pusher later tells police that...
Dude, look at this dude's head. Like, it's like, I don't know if he had a receding hairline happening way too young at an age, and he just said fuck it, and then like shaved his head bald and then had it tattooed, but that looks stupid as hell. I don't even want to say what that looks like. It looks nasty. Let's continue.
But the mediator introduced Gabe by saying,
"He is my little brother."
Gabe hands over the €80, the pusher gives him a foil packet, and suddenly the police pounce.
The reality is that the pusher is an informer of the police forces.
Oh, really?
And in fact, in the report by the prosecutor, you will read that when the police forces arrive, he says screaming, "Stop, I'm a friend of the police."
They spot Gabe bent over, using his cell phone light to find the foil packet he had dropped. He hands it to an officer and bolts. Gabe runs back to Piazza Mastai. Finn grabs Sergio Brugitelli's backpack and they take off. Tamer says,
Alright, so they took the drug dealer's drugs and left. So let's continue.
Salem said, "I saw them run away. I couldn't tell who was who except one of them had a bicycle, Sergio." Sergio Brugitelli, the mediator, chases after Finn and Gabe and jumps on his bike, as you see from the camera along Via della Luce, but he gives up and turns back. It's now 1:19 a.m. The off-duty officers call Mario Tricella Rega and his partner, Andrea Variale, to meet in Piazza Mastai and give them the foil packet. They quickly realize it contains one tacopurina pill, basically Italian Tylenol.
Neither the mediator or the drug dealer have been arrested because that night when the police officer arrived and intervened on the scene, they didn't have any drug with them. They had only aspirin.
The mediator asks Officers Variale and Tricella Rega for help recovering his backpack. He says it contains his old Nokia phone like this one, €30 and some documents.
That is a really old Nokia phone. I want to say this happened like last year. That's pretty crazy.
But the officers tell him to call the office in the morning. The young Americans catch this taxi and head back to the hotel. Gabe later said he opened the backpack in the taxi, noticed the mediator's cell phone.
At a certain point, the phone rang.
It was Brugitelli, the mediator, calling from a friend's phone.
And Finn and I agreed to ask for the money. That is €80, which they had stolen from us.
So now we're going to add extortion to all the crazy shit that they're doing in Rome.
They agree to exchange the backpack for the money and a gram of cocaine at the Unicredit Bank 1 block away from their hotel. Security cameras catch the Americans arriving back at the Meridian at about 1:30. Gabe now carrying the backpack, on the phone again. He spoke with the mediator by cell 8 times that night, according to the investigative report. At the hotel room, Finn texts his girlfriend back in California.
Gabe just got robbed, LMAO.
OMFG, how?
We were trying to buy coke from these sketchy guys, and they wanted Gabe alone so I could watch this guy's backpack. I hear footsteps running back, so I'm like, oh, this isn't good. Gabe turns the corner like, bro, I think I just got robbed.
Oh, Gabe, a boy needs to learn how to fight.
So I'm like, I'm gonna grab his bag. So ran back and stole the bum's bag, LOL. And everyone started chasing us through Rome.
Definitely sounds like an adventure.
Yeah, well, Gabe is hella pissed. He's like, bro, we gotta go out now. I'm like, bro, I'm tired. Gabe is so mad, LOL. Idiot.
At 2:04 a.m., the mediator calls the police.
He tells the Carabinieri that the teens are demanding money for the return of his backpack. Italian police call that cavallo di ritorni, or a return horse scheme, stealing something and then demanding money for its return, a form of extortion. The Carabinieri dispatcher calls Variali and Cicella Rega again. The officers meet Brucitelli in Piazza Gioacchino Belli around 2:30 a.m. Asked him to call Gabe and place it on speaker. Cicella Rega records part of the conversation. Gabe appears worried about being ambushed.
You were still with your friend. I told you that you have to come back alone.
Brucitelli, the mediator, answers,
Hey, I come alone. I come alone.
I hear a lot of voices. I told you to come alone.
But look, I come alone. I come alone. You don't worry. But you have to tell me the bank. At least the bank.
Unicredit.
Craig Peters is the elder family attorney from San Francisco.
And the boys were suspicious and thought that this was a setup and were very worried and were looking to see if Sergio Brucitelli and Pompeo's colleagues were in the area. They thought they were dealing with gangster, mobster, mafia types.
After that call, Gabe changes his clothes and puts on a sweatshirt. Even though Rome was suffering a heat warning, the temperature was pushing 80 degrees, even at 3 in the morning. He leaves the hotel alone and appears to scout the area. He walks by the Unicredit Bank, caught by its ATM cameras. He returns to the room, leaves again with Finn, also now in a sweatshirt, but he is hiding a deadly weapon. Finn would later tell police,
When my friend told me he would go out to meet this person, I worried about him, and I decided to accompany him. And at that moment, I took the knife.
A U.S. Marine-style combat knife called a K-bar with a 7-inch blade. Finn had this photo on his cell phone, apparently holding the same knife in San Francisco before the trip. Had you ever seen that knife before?
No.
Here we go again with the denials.
You can go to Big 5 and there's rows.
Listener, you could go to Big 5 and there's rows of knives. So fucking what? What does that have to do with anything in real life?
And rows of camping knives.
Did it surprise you that he traveled with that?
Even the way she lifted up her wrist, like, so who cares? I'm telling you, all these people are apathetic as hell.
Yes.
Yes, it did.
The officers head to the meeting location in their unmarked patrol car, that black Fiat Punto, and park down the street from the hotel. They tell the mediator to wait by the car. The investigative report says Finn and Gabe appear to see them arrive. They duck between cars at 3:06 a.m. Then the young men walk down the left side of Via Federico Cesi, caught by cameras at a jewelry store. Almost 3 minutes later, the report says you can see the shadows of the officers across the street heading for the teens. Officer Variali told investigators, "We immediately noticed the presence of 2 subjects positioned at a pharmacy across the street from the Unicredit Bank with a clearly cautious and suspicious attitude." Remember, Finn and Gabe are expecting one person, Sergio Brucitelli, the bald drug pusher's mediator. They had seen him before. But there's Officer Variali in a t-shirt and jeans, and Officer Cicella Rega in a t-shirt and Bermuda shorts.
And I believe that Finn and Gabriel both were fearful when they saw 2 extra people that they believed were part of the drug dealers' associates.
The report says the bank ATM camera catches the officer's shadows crossing to the pharmacy to confront the teens. Variali told investigators the officers suddenly approached Finn and Gabe and identified themselves as Carabinieri by showing their ID cards, but the 2 attacked us physically with extreme rapidity and violence. But Finn Elder's attorney tells me the Americans tried to avoid the 2 men when they first saw them.
The boys decided to abort and decided, we're getting out of here and going back to the hotel, this is over, and made a left at the pharmacy, away from the bank, away from where they were supposed to meet Brucitelli.
A source has given me quotes from Finn Elder's interrogation that same day. He said the officers attacked the Americans without warning. A female investigator asks,
"What do you mean they attacked you?"
Finn replies,
Like, walked up close and just grabbed me and threw me to the ground. The bigger guy was on top of me. He started hitting me and he started strangling me. I thought he was trying to kill me. If I knew it was a police officer, I don't know. I thought I was going to die. I would have stopped, but they were so aggressive and quick. Because in America, normally, like, policemen, the first thing they do is tell you they're a cop. You know, they show you a badge or something.
Finn has always been a complete truth teller. Finn tells the truth no matter what the circumstances is. You ask him what happened and he says it exactly.
Even when you don't like it?
Even when you don't like it. So in the worst of circumstances,
I swear, I just want to fucking smack them in the face. Just backhand them just real good and wake them up. Just the amount of denial and lack of accountability is so enraging to me. That's fucking crazy. Nobody I know would ever make excuses for me like this. This is just really unacceptable. I really wish I had that unacceptable lemon grab audio clip, because this would be the right time for that.
what we understand is Finn told the truth over and over and over.
There's no dispute that Variale tried to subdue Gabe, but the officer said he was squirming strongly with kicks, scratches, and fists and could free himself from my grip. Variale showed scratches on his neck later that day. He also told investigators he couldn't see what happened to his partner, but remembered hearing Tricella Rega yell at Finn in Italian, "Stop, we are carabinieri, that's enough." Even if that's true, Finn didn't understand Italian, and records showed the officer outweighed Finn by 100 pounds.
He was literally on top of Finn, and Finn was swinging the knife around, trying to get him to get off of him. And as soon as Tricella Rega did, Finn popped up, yelled to Gabe, "Let's get out of here or run," or something to that effect. He couldn't remember his exact words, and the two of them took off and ran back to the hotel.
The public has a hard time accepting that using a knife of that size is self-defense.
So it was the knife that Finn had. He didn't have a whole selection of weapons. It was one knife he had. He brought it with him that night because they were scared and worried about what might happen.
As Gabe and Finn ran away, Officer Variale saw his partner, Mario Tricella Rega, staggering for 2 seconds with his arms raised a little and far from his body, so that I noticed a lot of blood coming out of his left side, almost at the armpit. Tricella Rega said, "They stabbed me," and fell backwards to the ground. Variale called the police operational center for help, a transcript included in the investigative report. He says it's fast, he loses so much blood. "Mario, oh look at me, Mario, Mario, look at me." A police car approaches. Variale tells Tricella Rega they are coming here. "You see them?" Tricella Rega can be heard, "I feel sick, I feel sick." Variale, hey, the police car didn't see me." The dispatcher asks, "But tell me where you see them." Variale answers, "I saw them pass in the square here." The investigative report indicates the emergency response may have been delayed because Officer Variale failed to update his location. The operations center thought he was still in the Trastevere area, not the Prati district, where the stabbing occurred nearly 3 miles away. Records show it took more than 15 minutes for an ambulance to arrive, as Variale cradled his partner in his arms, using his shirt to try to stop the bleeding. Officer Tricella Rega died at Holy Spirit Hospital at 4 a.m.
If the ambulance had gotten there sooner and gotten him to the hospital, it's possible that he could have been saved.
Dr. Judy Melinek is a forensic pathologist from the San Francisco Bay Area.
15 minutes is a pretty significant amount of time. Average ambulance response times, at least in the States, in most urban areas, are much lower than that.
And so they were saying that perhaps B and C were two of the more serious wounds.
Well, those are the ones that went into the lung.
I asked Dr. Melinek to look at the autopsy report that was leaked by law enforcement. It shows Officer Tricella Rega suffered 11 wounds of varying depth. Some plunged so deep that the guard at the base of the 7-inch blade left an impression on his skin.
And some of the wounds went into major organs such as the lung, the diaphragm, the kidney, the intestines, causing bleeding into the chest cavity. And he died from blood loss as a result.
Finn's attorney says the wound pattern does not support Variale's claim that the Americans immediately attacked the officers.
It's an immediate attack. This is what you do with a knife. There's no stab wounds on the front of Tricella's body. They're on the side. There's one under the armpit. There's a couple in the back. Tricella was on top of Finn, and close to them, which would, again, if you've got somebody close to you, you're not going like this. You're trying to get them off of you. You're stabbing like this, which would be consistent with the stab wounds that we see in Churchill.
Italian investigators conclude the attack lasted about 32 seconds from the time the police shadows were in that crosswalk until the teens ran back to the hotel.
I want to find out exactly how long it took the young men to leave where the officer was stabbed and get back to their hotel.
Four patrol cars were in the area, but did not respond quickly enough to catch the suspects or provide timely medical help for the dying officer.
Now, clearly they're a lot faster than me, but here's our time.
A man walking his dog noticed the boys running and later told police, as did the hotel's porter. Officers found drops of blood at the Meridian's entrance and the backpack in a planter there. But there was some confusion in the investigation early on. Officer Variale identifies the attackers as olive-skinned North Africans, perhaps Moroccans. As police scrambled to find the killers and begin collecting surveillance video back in their room, records show Gabe had a WhatsApp video chat with his girlfriend in California. It lasted more than 31 minutes. And Finn, once again, texts his girlfriend.
I love you. No matter what happens, I love you.
What do you mean no matter what happens? I love you too, but what?
Talk more when I'm back.
Back from where?
I don't know if I'll make it back.
Don't leave your apartment or hotel.
I'm not. I love you.
Finn, you're scaring me.
Talk tomorrow. I love you.
I love you. Can you not do anything else stupid, please?
I don't even think he told his own mom that he loved her as much as he told this girl. I'm just saying.
Okay.
At 10:55 that morning, Gabe has one more call with his Uncle Claudio before police knock at the door. Officers arrest Finn and Gabe, recover the clothing they wore during the incident just a few hours before, and find the knife hidden in a ceiling panel. I went to the Meridian Hotel and saw the evidence tape sealing room 109, but met two Americans arriving at room 209, one floor above. It had the same carpet and flooring and the same type of drop-down ceiling.
Yeah, we definitely hide something up there.
After police take them into custody, Finn's mother is the first of the teen's parents to.
So if this was in self-defense, why did they hide the knife? What was that? Let me check something real quick. I'll go ahead and push play.
Hear the news in a FaceTime video call from two Italian police investigators, her son visible in the background crying.
He said, "Mom, it's really, really bad." He said, "They're saying that I killed a cop," and then the phone just went dead.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was really awful. I don't think Ethan and I could stand for quite a long time after that. We both just sat here on the floor in this room and just cried and cried and cried.
Fabrizio Natale found out at the house in Fregene as his son's picture flashed on the 8 p.m. news. He told me during the interview in Rome, "I was frightened. You just feel emptiness. It feels like the whole world is crashing in on you." He reached Gabe's mom back in California.
He said, "Last night we saw on the news that Gabriel and the guy that he's visited in Rome were arrested in connection with the killing of a police officer."
What's going through your mind at that point? I can't even imagine.
I honestly couldn't, I couldn't process it.
The Natales and elders started making calls to find Italian lawyers to the American embassy in Rome to figure out visitation, but they tell me, out of respect, they tried to lay low while Rosa Maria buried her husband, Mario.
Now remember, the officer that passed away in the situation had just come back from his honeymoon. So she just lost her new husband at this point. And that is devastating to say.
The anger was real in the officer's hometown. Crowds paying their respects, his fellow carabinieri filing past the coffin.
Allora, era un animale, è manco.
The mayor said, who killed him is an animal. I want to say to the judges to not be gentle. The uniform must be respected.
And from my research, I found that in Italy, or Rome in specific here, they don't have the death penalty, neither do they have life in prison without parole. So think about that.
The young suspects are kept in separate cells in this prison in the heart of Rome. Some inmates call Finn California boy. Before any of the parents were able to visit, the police and prosecutors held a news conference.
Più reparti per svolgimento di questa attività.
Depicting the Americans as the aggressors, but admitting a series of mistakes in the case, starting with this. A photo of Gabe handcuffed and blindfolded before his interrogation caused an uproar.
Why?
I don't see why it would cause an uproar. I mean, yeah, that looks uncomfortable, and it sucks not to be able to see, and if, you know, his eyes were bandaged that way for a long period of time, it could cause vision issues, but I don't think it was that long. I want to say it was about an hour. Why did they do that? Other than humiliation, I'm not too sure, but come on, they just killed someone. They stabbed a man 11 times, and this is gonna cause an uproar? That's crazy. Everybody contributed to this situation, even the bystanders and the people that supposedly causes uproar because he was blinded. He wasn't stabbed 11 times. That's pretty crazy. I think they did it as a humiliation, kind of like, look, we have him, and look how we have him. I don't really think there was ever like a legal explanation as to why they did that. But I don't see. I wasn't like, oh my god. I was just like, whatever when I saw that.
You keep a suspect in this manner, you know, in this, and then why you take a picture.
Rory Capelli is also a reporter for La Repubblica, but specializes in Rome's crime and courts. She says a carabinieri took the picture and sent it to other officers.
Saying, look what we do to the suspect, something like that, you know. And then it starts to goes around and around and around, and at the end it finishes in the desk of some journalists. So, you know, everybody has it.
Police said Gabe was blindfolded for only 4 minutes, so he wouldn't see computer screens and papers on the desk. But sources tell me it was actually close to an hour. Just as a mom seeing that image of her kid.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
But I was also grateful that I didn't see other images that were, you know, that could have been worse. And so
in terms of him being harmed.
Mm-hmm.
5 months later, the officer who placed the blindfold on Gabe and the one who took the picture were charged with abuse of office.
Come si chiama?
Then, a video of Gabe in the blindfold leaked. An investigator asks, "Hey boy, what's your name? Hey, what's your name? What's your name?" Gabe seems confused and answers, "What changed?" The officer also asks about the
Actually, I was reading in the comments too, and he didn't say what changed. It actually directly translates to, like, what difference does that make? Because they were asking him what his name was, and he said que cambia, and that even sounds like Spanish, and that even in Spanish it translates to what difference does it make, like what changes.
The location of a pink or red sweatshirt, what Finn wore during the killing. But the most shocking aspect of all, who shot the video? I've confirmed it's Officer Andrea Veriale, who Gabe had fought just hours before. The biggest witness in the case had access to the suspect, a fact for the defense team to raise at trial.
Police also said today the deceased officer forgot to bring his gun that night.
At that news conference, the provincial commander admitted Officer Circello Rega left his service weapon at the barracks. The commander said he had forgotten it, only he knows why he did not have it with him. He claimed that Circello Rega's partner had his gun, but could not shoot the suspects as they ran away because it's against Italian law. Days later, Officer Veriale admitted he lied about having a service weapon that night. He also wasn't armed, and now faces a possible dereliction of duty charge.
We now know that the one person that was there that was a carabinieri at the scene when this all happened has lied repeatedly about what actually took place.
I imagine that's pretty important to your case.
Incredibly important. This is a question of credibility, and there's two different stories, and the question is going to be which story is correct based on the objective facts.
Era veramente...
Yeah, one of the theories out there that I read in the comments was that the officer might have also been in the pocket of maybe some kind of mafia situation, and maybe the police are like compliant with that, and maybe they're trying to cover that part up, because it really doesn't make sense. Why would he leave his service weapon home? Just, that's crazy. On top of, you know, being in plain clothes, which I guess that could be explained away by, you know, saying that he was undercover. But to forget your gun, that's, there's a lot of things wrong with this story for sure.
This police station commander, who spoke highly of the dead officer to the media, has been demoted and now faces a charge of lying to investigators. He claimed Officer Variali handed him his service weapon at the hospital after the killing, when it was actually locked up at the barracks all night. Into this maelstrom walked the family. Ethan Elder, the first to be seen. I'm here at Rome Airport, and this really is one of the most organized arrivals I've seen. The press representative will ask Ethan Elder if he wants to make any comments to the media. But he made no public comments throughout his trip to Rome. He visited his son in prison twice, met Finn's Italian defense team, and returned to San Francisco, where his American lawyer read a statement on behalf of the family.
We look forward to the truth coming out and to our son coming home.
Here, for the first time, Finn's parents discuss seeing their son after his arrest. Describe for me that moment, Ethan, when you saw Finn for the first time in prison.
My heart was broken over the loss of Officer Rega. I walked back in and it broke again.
Seeing your boy.
Seeing my boy. We hugged. We kissed. We told each other we loved each other. He was shaking.
I could feel how much physical contact he needed, so I just touched him the whole time and held his hand.
A source gave me these images of her visit.
That's pretty wild, because in America, I don't think they let you like touch each other when visiting, unless I'm mistaken.
Leah didn't know her private moments were being secretly recorded by the Carabinieri.
And watch the mother's reaction to them being secretly recorded. I think she cared more about that than her son stabbing a police officer, or anybody for that matter, 11 times. Watch this.
As were Finn's visits with his father and his American lawyer.
You know, they make the room empty for that reason. You know, we thought it was for privacy.
It was to record.
It was to record us, and video and audio recordings. Which makes me
go back, we get
physically ill when I think about it, literally.
It literally makes her physically ill when she thinks about it, that their conversations were being recorded. See what I mean? They're all apathetic. If affluenza was real, they all have it. They're spoiled, stupid, don't give a shit about anybody, excuses all around. And then they sit there and wonder how they ended up in a situation like this in the first place. They're still in complete denial, swimming in a river of bullshit.
The Carabinieri leaked some of the recording transcripts to Italian reporters, who ran with the story that Finn knew Cicella Rega was a police officer before he killed him.
Many other things that in this story are very strange.
Finn's Italian lawyer obtained the recordings, had them translated again, and he tells me they confirm Finn's account.
Finn said, I didn't know that he was a cop. I thought he was a random criminal guy, mafia guy.
Heidi Hgorth also saw her son Gabe in prison, and she shared a recent letter he sent.
Dear Mom, please stay calm and strong. I'm so mad at everything, and mostly myself right now. I feel so powerless in here, God damn it. This isn't something that you can wait for, though. It gets harder every day. I love you so much, and I want you to know that. I don't forget how hard this must be for you, too.
Stiamo
facendo? Stiamo lavorando, lasciateci lavorare.
Both families are draining their life savings to pay for teams of attorneys and investigators. They're demanding all the surveillance video from that night that's been collected by the Carabinieri.
They would have seen them coming by.
There's the video from that wine bar across from the hotel that caught the American students ducking between cars, and the jewelry store camera that saw them walking to and running from the fatal fight. At the intersection where Churchella Rega died, the pizza and kebab shop has no surveillance system, and the pharmacy's camera is covered at night by a solid metal gate.
The camera with the best view of what happened is here at the bank just across the street. And I want to show you, take a look at this camera. I'm going to hold my cell phone up to the camera to show you the view. It has a clear angle of that crosswalk where the fight occurred.
La Repubblica reported that the bank had video of the critical moment.
We know for a fact that 26th of July, the bank gave to the Carabinieri the video footage. That the video cameras were working, so...
And the bank said that to you?
Yeah.
To your newspaper?
Yeah.
But in the final investigative report, the Carabinieri claims the bank's video was acquired and not useful. One of many.
So it kind of makes you wonder at this point, what were they covering up? Because, I mean, how could it not be useful if they're saying that angle was the best angle for that situation, and then they quote-unquote covered it up? What do you think they were hiding? Because the suspect says that the police officer didn't announce himself as a police officer and that he was being attacked, that the man was on top of him, and then they mentioned earlier that the police officer was 100 pounds heavier than the suspect, but still was stabbed and killed by him. So it kind of makes you wonder if maybe the police officer was, you know, if this was like a police brutality situation. I'm not too sure how how it is over there. But it just feels like if they're saying that angle should have got the whole thing, you know, why did they hide it? What are they trying to keep people from knowing?
Remaining questions about the case, including this. Finn admits stabbing Officer Churchella Rega, but says it was self-defense. What was Gabe's role? A judge found that he should also face the aggravated murder and attempted extortion charges. With his Italian language skills, Gabe set up the meeting that turned deadly, and he fought with Variale, preventing him from saving his partner.
Do you think that Gabriel shares some responsibility in terms of being in that place, putting himself in that location, doing the things that he did that led up to the events?
I believe that he was bold enough to set up a meeting to go and get his money back after being cheated.
Right.
And I believe that he did not know that Finn had the knife that evening with him.
That's what Gabe told investigators, but the judge in the preliminary investigation found that argument not credible. Given the knife's dimensions, he wrote, it was certainly not possible to take it and hide it in your pocket or otherwise hide it without the knowledge of Natale, who was nearby in the room with Elder. It also appears Gabe had his own knife in Rome, found on a table next to his hotel bed. Police say it's very similar to one he mentioned in a text to his girlfriend in May. He sent her a link to this Amazon listing. I also obtained this Snapchat from Gabe's account. His friends told me he sent it from Italy in the days before the killing. Holding a knife, Gabe wrote, unfortunately, no straps abroad. Straps, street slang for guns. But this baby saves my full pockets today, implying he used the knife to keep someone from taking his money. His parents say the picture doesn't look like Gabe's body, and that we...
Did you hear that? Now the parents are saying that that's not him at all. This is crazy.
should focus on the core issue, their belief that the Carabinieri did not identify themselves before the attack.
I know my son well enough, despite the fact that he may have photos that I'm not aware of.
I know my son well enough, ... despite the fact that there were photos that I was not aware of. Girl, bye. No one believes a fucking thing you're saying right now.
He would never have done this. Outside of surrendering, The only thing he would have thought of if he had known for sure that they were military police or police at all would be to run. That would be the only thing outside of that. He would never attack a policeman.
At the end of this long investigation, I had only one question left. This is not an easy question to answer, but what words do you have for Officer Rega's wife?
I'm just so heartbroken. I'm so heartbroken that her husband was here and now he's no longer on this earth. And I feel just an immense amount of pain when I think of her.
Not a day goes by that we don't reflect on him and their lives, and his wife and his family and his parents and his sister, all of his friends, and everyone who loved him, just as we love ourselves.
Another question I have is, how did he even get a knife like that onto the plane? Because it's not one of those, I don't know if I'm saying this term correctly, but it's not one of those like collapsible knives. And even then, an X-ray machine or whatever should have been able to identify that. I don't know what like the rules are on that, but that's pretty crazy that they were even able to take that with them onto the plane.
Son, it's just a tragedy.
In her only statement since her husband's death, Officer Chichala Rega's wife, Rosa Maria, wrote, "I ask for justice and not revenge for my Mario." The trial start date, 7 months to the day since he died.
Alright, so that was the end of that. I was gonna say, Nicolette Moore said maybe they check their bags. I've never been on a plane, so I don't know. But if they check their bags, I think they should check those too. I mean, if anything more so. That's pretty crazy. Let's see, Observing Stuff said, if I did something like that, my parents wouldn't make excuses for me either. And then they said they might have ordered it when they got there. Maybe. That's true. I didn't think about that. But let's go ahead and stop screen sharing this, and we are going to look at the article because trial has already happened in that situation, and there's been a verdict. So let's just take a look there real quick. Alright, so let me move this over. I hope that didn't like make any issues for you all. But Nicolette said, is a knife illegal in that country? I don't think so. I actually just read that minors don't have drinking laws. I don't know how true that is. If that's true, that's crazy. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at this article. It says it is from earlier today. It should be from earlier today. It says 2 Americans sentenced to life in prison for murder of Italian police officer. The 2 American men were teenagers in July 2019 when an early morning scuffle with 2 plainclothes police officers in Rome turned deadly. And that's going to be both of them being held in a cell. And this is by Elisabetta Povoletto, and this is from earlier today. An update was recently. Okay, so it says, Rome, 2 American men were found guilty of murder on Wednesday and sentenced to life in prison for the street corner killing of an Italian military police officer on an early summer morning when the 2 young San Francisco natives were vacationing in Rome. After deliberating for about 11 hours, a jury found Finnegan Elder, 21, and Gabriel Natale Hgorth, 20, guilty of the murder of Deputy Brig Mario Cercielo Rega. Gasps were heard across the courtroom as the verdicts were announced. The officer's widow leaned against her lawyer and sobbed. Mr. Elder's mother collapsed against her husband as the court imposed the harshest penalty possible under Italian law. As Mr. Elder was being led from the courtroom, his father Ethan called out, "Finnegan, I love you." The two Americans were still teenagers on July 26, 2019, when they got into a scuffle on a deserted street corner with two plainclothes police officers, Brigadier Cercielo Rega and Andrea Variali. The defense argued that the defendants had acted in self-defense during the altercation, which lasted for less than a minute, believing that the men they were fighting were thugs, not police officers. The prosecution maintained that the pair had acted with homicidal intent. The fight capped a convoluted evening that began with an aborted drug deal in a trendy nightlife neighborhood. After an unsuccessful attempt to buy cocaine, the two Americans stole a backpack belonging to a man said to have brokered that drug deal, then demanded money for its return. Brigadier Cercielo Rega, 35, was killed after he and his partner were dispatched to retrieve the backpack. Mr. Elder repeatedly stabbed him with a 7-inch military-style knife after they began fighting, and Mr. Natale Hgorth briefly wrestled with Officer Variali. Mr. Elder never denied killing Brigadier Cercielo Rega, but said he had acted in self-defense, believing that the officer was trying to choke him. The teenagers were arrested at their hotel just down the block a few hours after the murder. Officer Variali, 27, has repeatedly stood by his account that he and his partner identified themselves as Carabinieri, members of Italy's military police, when they approached the teenagers. When he took the stand last July, he said that they had pulled out their badges and clearly announced themselves. Who was selling the cocaine? There was a man that was acting as mediator, and he took them to another man that was supposed to be the drug dealer. And then at that point, I think one of the suspects stole a backpack which allegedly contained drugs, and they were trying to extort the drug dealer of money, saying like, we'll give you back your backpack if you give us money. And then that's where the shit hit the fan. Alright, continuing, it says the men were also found guilty on charges including attempted extortion, carrying a weapon without just cause, resisting a public official, and assault for injuring Mr. Variali. The case attracted international attention in part because of the ages of both the victim and the men on trial. Brigadier Cercielo Rega, who had just returned to work after his honeymoon, was given a hero's funeral broadcast live on national television. His widow, Rosa Maria Esilio, was in the large courtroom, usually used for major terrorism trials. When the verdict was read, clutching a photo of her husband after learning that the prosecution had prevailed, she hugged her husband's brother. But those who had come to the courtroom to support the slain officer were subdued, not triumphant, as they emerged from the courtroom after a case that had transfixed Italy's attention came to an end. A life sentence is never a trophy, said Ms. Esilio's lawyer, which is the wife, Massimo Frandino. Speaking to reporters while holding back tears, the widow said, "This has been a very long, painful trial. It will never give me back Mario. It will never bring him back to life. It will not give back our life together." Mr. Natale Hgorth's lawyer, Fabio Alonzi, denounced the outcome. It's a sentence that leaves me dumbstruck, he said. It does not make a dent in our belief that Gabriel Natale Hgorth is innocent, adding that he would appeal the verdict. Mr. Elder's lawyer, Renato Borzoni, called it a disgrace for Italy and said he also planned to appeal. "I am hoping for the future," Mr. Borzoni said. Mr. Elder and Mr. Natale Hgorth have spent the last 21 months in prisons in Rome awaiting trial and verdict. Throughout the trial, lawyers for the defendants sought to convince the jury that their clients had good reason to be surprised by the two casually dressed Italian men who showed up at the rendezvous where the stolen backpack was to be returned. They had been expecting to see its owner. In texting with his girlfriend after the failed drug deal, Mr. Elder said he had believed that he and Mr. Natale Hgorth had been robbed. so he grabbed the backpack. Everyone started chasing us through Rome, he wrote in a text message submitted as evidence during the trial. A short while later, the two young Americans made an appointment to return the backpack. A scuffle broke out, and a police officer lay dead on a Rome Street corner. And that's gonna be it. Let's see. Nicolette says, I don't believe they announced themselves. What makes me believe that too is that they covered up that surveillance footage. They said it was the best angle they could have possibly had, and allegedly the authorities said that there was no useful footage there. So that's that. But after everything, somebody lost their life. These two kids, well, they're not kids, but they're punks, and I really don't think that they had any plans for the future other than fucking shit up. Their parents didn't give a shit. They never did anything to intervene any of their bullshit behavior. They, in fact, if anything, rewarded it and told them straight up, if that's what they want to do, then go ahead and do it. The one mom said in a text message, she was like, you want to be selling drugs and doing all that, then go ahead. But she never once said, but you have to, you know, not be living under my roof or whatever. They're all, I think, equally responsible for what happened, unfortunately. But unless there's anything else, I think I'm gonna wrap it up. I'll go ahead and stop screen sharing. And I just want to thank everybody so much for being here and spending time with me and watching me show my news clips and stories that I picked out for us to watch. I really appreciate all the likes, and you know, if you share my video, thank you so much. Any donations are always greatly appreciated. I think Crown Empress says she might be back tomorrow, and I have some stories that I sent over to her because they're more her niche in the true crime sector, if you will. But thank you very much. Observing Stuff, Nicolette Moore, Danielle Williams, I really appreciate that you were here. Punisher J Gaming was here earlier, thank you very much. Eddie Machete, thank you so much for showing up for my live. I've been seeing you in the comments section. It was really good to see you here and have you join the discussion. There was somebody else, Dr. Bombay, thank you very much for being here. We are 5/5, salute. Let's see who else. Stacy, always good to see Stacy. Crown Empress, of course. Send my love to Conceal Ringleader and the family. TMK Media, I found out today, is Dr. Bombay. So now we know. Raphael Flatplane, thank you so much. And I think that's going to wrap it up. So I will try to be back tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and go look for more clips for us to watch. I do want to try to find something about the Amanda Knox story. Now I'm in this, like, Americans abroad going to jail trip, and that'll definitely add on to that. So thank you very much, everybody. Have a good night, and I hope you all have a really good day tomorrow. Bye.